Greetings and salutations, my goblin army. Now, before you guys smash dislike and spam this video with dislikes, just watch the entire thing, hear me out, and then if you still disagree with me, after listening to what I actually have to say and what my logic here is, feel free to leave a dislike afterwards. Now, for those of you who are new here, this is, in fact, a live show. However, after the fact, I always make sure to leave timestamps in the description below. So for anyone who wants to, skip to a specific portion of the video, that's absolutely fine. Though this is more of like a podcast format type of thing. I do love long-form content as a medium, I must say. But anyways, yeah. So apparently, iDubbbz released a new video. His new video is called something along the lines of "I miss the old iDubbbz" in quotation marks. I mean, that is what the video is called. So we're gonna be watching that. Perhaps you could say I'm gonna react to it. I don't know. I hear iDubbbz loves reaction channels. He's known for that. But this isn't the same type of reaction that he used to criticize. Hello, Pancake Panic. Hello, Hawthorne. Why, greetings, Sir Femyoz, another lively broadcast. Oh, how exciting. True. Anyways. But yes, I'm really hoping that people, look at this situation with nuance, understand that iDubbbz is neither 100% right or 100% wrong. He is a human being after all. Probably, I'll bet. But yeah. I know for a fact that his new video isn't going to be very well received, and, not just because of the like-to-dislike ratio being complete ass, but because of the contents of the video itself, from what I understand, and, yeah, we're going to be watching the video. We're gonna, yeah, so I think it's an interesting video, at the very least, right? It's, yeah. But anyways, without further ado, wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, I have the hotkeys working, just wanted to make sure. I was having technical difficulties, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, the video is called "I Miss the Old iDubbbz." It was uploaded a few hours ago, so we may as well watch it.
For a while, I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value. But I'm starting to realize that is a very weak and passive way to, run my channel and live my life.
I mean, it's hard to say. When you upload once every 5 months, I mean, there's not much you can do when it comes to changing your content and your personality with it that people will pick up. I mean, they'll notice a change, but like, I agree with this first statement, I guess, is what I'm saying.
So I think it's, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for.
I don't know if he needs to apologize for that, though. I mean, I understand that maybe he went a little bit too far. Maybe he was too harsh in that video. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that Tana was definitely not innocent. She was more in the wrong than iDubbbz was. If iDubbbz was in the wrong, it was barely. And only because maybe he went a little bit too far. Maybe he shouldn't have, like, met up with her in person. However, at the end of the day, when somebody is harassing you first, when they're talking shit about you, telling you to kill yourself, and that they hope you break both of your legs and lose all your subscribers, I think it is a perfectly valid thing for you to, respond to that not so kindly, right? It's not like he was harassing somebody who was completely innocent. He was harassing somebody who was harassing him first. So, I think that context is really important.
Or the mistakes I've made. So that's what this video is. I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity.
which I think that he should have done ages ago. I think that that is a legitimate criticism that you could have made when he was doing Content Cop, okay, when it comes to his Content Comp series, there is a major strength that it has, but also a major weakness. Now, the major strength of Content Comp is that it's rhetorically very effective. It gets the job done, right? At least short term. As well as, you know, the whole concept of using people's own standards and logic against them, I think is a very rhetorically effective thing to do. The law of non-contradiction is very useful, you know? However, if you're never going to apply any of your own standards or demonstrate what your own moral framework is, that does leave a lot of ambiguity, and there's almost like a lack of communication there. And that's why I think a lot of people have misinterpreted his content. I feel like I'm one of the only people that genuinely understands why he made the content he made sometimes. I mean, based on the comments I read, you know, you can literally just go to the video he made about his wife's OnlyFans or whatever, and people acting all surprised as if it was somehow outside of his character to do that. So they've clearly misinterpreted something, right?
I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel, and I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well.
I don't know if I agree with that. I wouldn't say his content created more cruelty. Apathy, sure, I can get behind that. But apathy is not necessarily a bad thing. It really depends. For example, because I stream debates sometimes, you know, even though I'm taking a break right now, in general, I'm a debate bro streamer, all right? I'm a debate lord, I know. And so, obviously, there are going to be Nazis who enter my Discord server, and I'm not just going to straight up ban them because there's a good chance that they're there to debate me at some point, right? So instead of, you know, trying to micromanage my server, I think it's a lot more effective if I just say, okay, you know what, all slurs are fair game, but also me and my community will make fun of you if you use them for their intended purpose. And the reason behind that is the whole, like, it's sort of a similar reason behind why iDubbbz used to say slurs, right? It was to give them less power. Because when a Nazi joins my server and they decide to use slurs, we can just make fun of them for doing so, for using them for their intended purpose. That's a lot harder to do if you give their words power and meaning, right? I think that makes sense. Now, obviously, there's a time and a place, right? But yeah.
Well, like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. I wouldn't say it was cruel. I mean, if you're thinking of the Leafy Content Cop, maybe he was mean in that one, but it was well deserved. I mean, we can't pretend like Leafy didn't deserve it. At the end of the day, if Leafy continued making videos, you know, that would have been a bad thing, right? He was known for bullying innocent 10-year-olds, for being cringy or whatever. It's not like Leafy was a good person, and at the end of the day, iDubbbz did everyone a favor.
So I don't want people to, you know, get it confused about, you know, where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content.
Oh no, poor Leafy. He should have been able to bully and harass 10-year-olds in peace. Poor guy.
And I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are Content Cop videos.
But they're not all the same. Okay, I could understand wanting to retract maybe one or two of them, but to say that they're all bad or that they are all cruel or crossing a certain line, I fundamentally disagree. I don't think there was a line you could cross with a Leafy Content Cop, unless you were to, like, I don't know, dox him or some shit like that, right? That would be a line I guess you could cross, but no. I don't think that video, for instance, or the Keemstar Content Cop, I don't think there was anything fundamentally wrong with those videos. I mean, Keemstar is, like, kind of mellowed the fuck out lately, I guess. He wouldn't deserve a content cop made on him today, but back in the day when that video was made on him, he absolutely deserved it. He was an awful person, and he shouldn't have been able to get away with the things he was getting away with. Again, iDubbbz was doing everyone a favor. Same thing with the Leafy content cop. He was doing everyone a favor. The Rice Scum content cop, I'd say maybe it served less utility, maybe, but I mean, it was still entertaining, and I don't really think it did anything bad. And at the end of the day, Rice Scum deserved to be called out for the dumb shit he said and did, right? He was a piece of shit, right? Tana, I mean, Tana was harassing iDubbbz. Now, I will say maybe iDubbbz, crossed a couple lines with that video. I won't disagree with that necessarily, but I mean, come on.
And videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting.
No, you were doing the opposite. You weren't morally grandstanding. It was actually that other people were morally grandstanding, like Tana, and you weren't grandstanding. You were criticizing other people for grandstanding. That was one of the reasons why your content was good. Is you didn't morally grandstand. You acknowledged, okay, yeah, I'm kind of like an asshole, but like at least I'm like honest about it, and I'm not the one contradicting myself, right?
Acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on.
I mean, you were definitely better than Leafy, first of all, and secondly, no, that's the opposite of what you were doing. You were using their standards against them. This is fundamentally wrong. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I didn't make the videos. I don't know what goes on inside of Ian's head. But I mean, for instance, I would say that, it seemed like the opposite to me, at least. It came across as, it's like he's not afraid to, get his hands a little bit muddy. He's not trying to portray himself as the good guy. What he's doing is he's allowing bad content creators to portray themselves as the bad guy in clips that he compiles together in a specific order that makes them look bad, because they're hypocritical. And then iDubbbz is just there to criticize that, make valid points, and make jokes, right? And that's exactly what he did.
And I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a real human who...
I agree. I mean, maybe he's not. Maybe he's AI. You never know.
Makes mistakes, and, I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on.
I agree. Not all mistakes are equal, but yes.
But it doesn't matter. I don't think...
Well, it does matter.
Anyone deserves that level of cruelty or...
Well, I think Leafy did. Leafy was a cruel person, okay? He was bullying fucking children and autistic people, alright? I know that people seemed to misunderstand that video. They genuinely believe that you were in favor of just bullying people for no reason, which that was the first video of yours that I watched, and I understood the message, and I was just like a kid back then. Like, Ian, if on the off chance that you're watching this, I want you to know that it's not just negativity that you've spread, okay? You have positively impacted me. Now, obviously, you probably weren't aware of that, because, whatever, I found out about you when I was like 12 or 13, right? And it wasn't like I was, in the spotlight in front of you, making videos that you were seeing, right? But ultimately, I used your logic, your basic framework, your value of non-contradiction. That was the one value that I gained from you above everything else, right? Your style of logic and whatnot is what ultimately led to me becoming a left-winger, believe it or not. I actually had a right-wing worldview back in the day, believe it or not. And then I became apolitical, and then ultimately, a lot of the logic and value of non-contradiction is what led me to becoming a leftist, right? Because in order to be a conservative, you have to, contradict yourself a lot more, right? because conservatism is an illogical ideology by nature, right? Whereas leftism is an intellectually honest and logical and non-contradictory ideology, right? That's based on facts, logic, reasoning, etc. So ultimately, the framework that Ian has set up actually set me up for success when I used that framework, right? Because this dude was like my idol, right?
Hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave.
I think it is an okay way to behave in certain context, right? Now, I don't think that... I think what iDubbbz might be trying to say here, and I could be wrong on this, but, maybe it's other people are behaving the same way, but, like, over-exaggerated and for the wrong reasons. In the wrong context for the wrong reasons. I don't know. We'll have to see.
And it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty. I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or, like, entertain.
I think a lot of content creators can relate to that.
It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly.
This I can relate to. And that is reflected by his really poor upload schedule, right? Anyone with Ian's upload schedule is, either they don't care or they're insecure about their ability to be entertaining. And I understand the type of pressure that Ian feels, but he feels what I've experienced, but on a much grander scale, right? I remember on my previous channel, every video had to be better than the last one, right? Which seems good on the surface. I mean, very ambitious, but good, right? But it's like, it was almost like I had this, like, super high standard for myself that I just couldn't meet anymore. And, so I ended up not uploading as much, right? And I understand that, especially if you're seen as YouTube God, it's like, oh God, every content cop has to be more grandiose and entertaining and whatnot than the last one, right?
And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content.
To be fair, most of the people being hurt kind of deserved it, I'm not gonna lie.
I ended up pivoting it into other things because I felt bad about it.
That's fair. I'm not gonna tell you how you should or shouldn't feel about your own content, or whether or not you feel oh, okay, maybe I went a little too far. Obviously, you can feel however you want about that. And all I can really say is, here's how the content impacted me. And it impacted me positively.
Innately, but it's still something that I struggle with, and I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that is relatable to other creators who...
Well, I don't think that anything here is an excuse. I think that he's being honest. I think he's speaking his mind and just saying how he feels, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain.
And and as a content creator, I've experienced that as well, and I've become more confident over the years as well. I think that in a lot of ways, even though I'm not like a massive YouTuber or anything, right, I have been heavily influenced by iDubbbz, but I think I've also experienced some of the same issues as iDubbbz, and maybe it's because of the moral framework, or not the moral framework, but the very basic, foundational framework of his logic and reasoning and whatnot, right? The very basic framework that was being used isn't enough to have a full worldview, right? It's very incomplete. It doesn't account for certain things, right? And at the end of the day, if you're not going to account for certain things, it's like, okay, yeah, there might be some issues there, right?
And I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success.
I fundamentally disagree. Ian, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're just wrong. I feel like if you were to live stream, maybe it would be awkward at first. I understand that. I mean, I stream. But I think that you could be really successful at it. I think that, you know, and we're like surprisingly similar in a lot of ways, not just in that I used to copy your content, but like I was always very appealed to your logic, your style of argumentation, your rhetorical approach, etc., as well as there was something about the not just content cop, as in like, oh, those are really good criticism, but the people you selected. I always had this really weird respect and admiration for the way you would choose who you would make the next content cop on. It was never somebody who was already being dogpiled. You never made a content cop on Lele Pons or BuzzFeed or anyone who, was already getting shit on, or Jake Paul. I mean, obviously you titled it that, but that was to fuck with Rice Gum, right? But at the end of the day, you would select people that genuinely deserved it and that weren't really being criticized enough. And there was something really admirable about that, right? Holding people accountable for the shit they do, right? There was something, cool about that I always respected. It was like, oh, yeah, here's somebody really shitty who deserves it, Even though you could have gotten millions of views on a Lele Pons content cop, that wasn't your thing, right? It's like, oh, well, everyone else has already shit on that person.
And that is really hard to come to terms with. I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos.
I guess it depends on... I don't know. I don't get that vibe from that. I think that ultimately, all Ian had to do, when he was making that content, was make it abundantly clear as to what his values actually are, whether it be while he's live streaming, or maybe in his videos he can make them more politicized, which I know a lot of people would hate. I would have been in favor of that. Talking about politics, advocating for trans rights or some shit, right? Advocating, for Black Lives Matter, even though it's counterintuitive, what you would be doing there would actually be really beneficial. You could then be like, oh, okay, yeah, here's my edgy, disaffected sense of humor, and here's what I believe. These two things are not mutually exclusive, and because of that, you would be able to get a lot of, edgy, disaffected teenagers on the correct side of the political aisle, right?
And I justified it because, I didn't think it was too serious.
And it wasn't, and I think that maybe I'm the minority of people that genuinely understood, the message of the content. I was one of the people that actually, cared about the logic he was using and just didn't just see him as like the funny man who says the N-word because the N-word is funny, right? Like, I understood what his intent was to an extent, right?
And I thought that...
I mean, I watched all of his content cops many times because it was like, that was what I wanted my content to become. I wanted to be the next iDubbbz, in a sense, right? And I understood the messaging that he sent. I understood what he was trying to do, right?
That people were going to see,
like the way he styled it or whatever, the jokes he made, that was all just flavor on top. But the actual core messaging is something that I think Ian could still get behind to an extent, at least. I think he's just changed his approach, which, I mean, fair enough.
That I had good intentions.
Well, yeah, and it was obvious that you did.
But that's so silly,
iDubbbz consequentialist arc? Aw, hell yeah.
Casual racism is still racism.
Okay, but that's the thing. I don't really think that that's necessarily racism. The same way where, okay, now for those of you who aren't aware, who are either new here or just haven't been paying attention, I'm not the straightest human being in the planet, and I also have the big autism, okay? So the words retard and faggot are words that, how, regardless of how much you want to virtue signal or id pull, I'm allowed to say them, right? But I also believe that it's not offensive if other people say them, but it depends on the context, right? It's not a matter of whether or not you can say the words, it's about how you use the words. And I think that same standard should be applied to all slurs, whether it be ones that apply to me or that don't apply to me, right? I think that the context is what matters the most. And Ian knew this, right? Back when he was making those videos. But I think he's realizing, okay, well, just because I'm intelligent enough to understand nuance and context, etc., and judge what obvious intent, doesn't mean that everybody else has that same level of judgment or understanding of the world, right? And I would assume that me and Ian are people like Ian and I are the minority there, right? Of people who understand nuance, I guess, when it comes to the way you use particular words.
Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, I said a lot of things.
I think he just needed to be more clear about what his actual values were. Again, the main flaw of Content Cop was Ian never established his own moral framework. He was really good at using other people's framework against them, but he didn't really establish what he believed. All he had to do was prove that the other person was a hypocrite. He didn't have to, and that's why I don't understand why he said that he was grandstanding. I don't think he was. I think he actually had the opposite problem, where he didn't, establish his own moral framework or his own ideology, right? That was the problem. And even if he had just made the content cops the same, but he was live streaming and explaining what his thought process was for people who cared, I feel like that could have done a lot of good.
That I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say.
But that's why you gotta make your intentions more clear. And you also should have made fun of, the right-wingers in your audience a little bit more harshly, right? You should have done that, right? If you wanted to sort of distance yourself from them, it's like, okay, I'll use my same edgy style of rhetoric, but I'm going to use it against right-wing ideology. And that's kind of what I do, right? I use the same edgy style of rhetoric that Ian used to use to an extent, okay? I don't usually say the N-word, really, but I sort of have that same disaffected intonation, but I use it for good. I use it for, left-wing ideology, right? Because I care more about left-wing ideology than having a left-wing aesthetic, and I am aware of the fact that, the rhetorical approach that I use is effective. Vosh does the same thing. For those of you who don't know, Vosh is a political streamer who is he might actually be further left than me. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, he has a more edgy style, but he's advocating for ideas that are good and against ideas that are bad.
It doesn't matter what my intentions are.
It does, but I think that it also matters, what the outcomes of your actions are. And we might get into that later, because I think that if you're going to I think that Ian is in this weird, limbo stage of between caring about intent and being a consequentialist, right? It's this weird position where, and this is why, I still think that it's worthy of criticizing the whole creator clash situation and whatnot, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a consequentialist, good. I am too, right? However, and not entirely, I'm not purely consequentialist. I do care about intent to an extent, right? It's something that I use to judge people's moral character, right? It's like, okay, what is within your means, I guess, and what are you trying to do? And ultimately, my number one thing is, okay, how do I get you to, get there? How can I help people with good intent do good things, right?
If I'm hurting people, I'm hurting people.
Yeah, but if you're hurting people like Leafy, it's warranted, all right? And ultimately, you did the opposite of hurting me, okay? Your content helped me in a weird way, right? It helped me realize, it helped me realize that you don't have to take yourself so seriously, That's the thing. People thought that Ian used to take himself seriously and got mad. It's like, oh, you have no self-respect because your wife has an OnlyFans. But it's like, I think Ian made a really good point that a lot of people didn't like. But it's like, oh, you thought I was cool when I was in an oversized cop outfit? You thought it was cool when I was doing all this shit? It's like, yeah, that's the point, right? Is that you aren't taking yourself seriously. And that was something that really I don't know, helped me. You know, I used to get bullied or whatever, when I was in 6th grade, first half of 7th grade, right? But ultimately, you know, when I stopped taking myself seriously and took the iDubbbz approach, it's like, okay, well, there you go. Problem solved, right? You know, and then I stopped getting shit, obviously. Now, there is a little bit of emotional repression, but that was starting to form anyways. That's not Ian's fault, obviously. But I did have a way of sort of getting out of this hole. And I don't think he realizes how impactful that is. How impactful it was for him to be like, yeah, I do whatever the fuck I want. You know, I don't take myself seriously no matter what people say about me. And that was empowering for me, right? And I know that seems kind of weird because it's like, oh, well, this isn't what you would expect to be the result of someone, you know, being an iDubbbz fan for years. But it is the logical conclusion, believe it or not, if you actually listened to the things he was saying, right? Yeah, I think it was actually the slightly more casual iDubbbz viewers that, well, you know, didn't understand his content as much that were the problem, right? But people that are like the most hardcore fans, like I was, right, well, they end up like me.
And, you know, who the fuck knows what my intentions are? Like,
Okay, I kind of could, I could sort of tell. I mean, obviously, only you know what your intentions are, truly. I can't be 100% certain. But I understood the messages, for the most part, that you were sending through your content. They were subtle, but they were very smart. And you made content with the intent of smart people like you watching it, and maybe like me watching. I'm not going to label myself as smart or dumb, because obviously that's going to depend on, okay, well, okay, you can be intelligent in math, but bad at English, blah, blah, blah. You get the point, right? But, you know, you didn't intend for really stupid right-wingers to also watch your content and completely miss the fucking point, right? And I can understand Ian's frustration there.
sarcasm and like jokiness and jokey tone only goes so far, especially.
But it's, to me, it was kind of obvious what the intentions were. Even when they weren't the best, right? Maybe not even the intent, but like the messaging, right? It's like, it was obvious, okay, the Tana content comp, that one felt more petty. It was funny as hell, right? It was entertaining. But that one was more of like a petty, oh, okay, you want to talk shit about me, yeah, okay, yeah, good one, Tana, yeah, good fucking luck spreading this dumb narrative about me, alright? Let me proceed to make a video about you contradicting yourself constantly, right? And it worked. It was effective, right? But it's like, okay, you know, the messaging there was more like, okay, here's some personal drama type of thing, right? And you could kind of tell, right?
Especially over the internet. Even in real life, that's like an impossible thing to know with 100% certainty.
Well, yeah, you can't know most things with 100% certainty. And then you get into, you know, epistemology and, oh, okay, well, all right, our epistemic foundation that we use is, okay, all right, well, first of all, I can't even know that anybody around me is real or conscious. All I know is my own experience, but okay, but we're not gonna, you know what, I'm sorry, this is tangential.
I've just always had this dumb philosophy that I'm not responsible for, you know, my audience and how they behave beyond what content I put out.
I think it really depends, and look, I know this is sort of vague, but that's the point, right? There's so much gray area, right? So for instance, when people like Matt Walsh spread genocidal rhetoric against trans people, they are responsible for a lot of the shit that happens as a result of that and how their audience behaves, right? Now, I think that Ian should have been more clear and direct with his communication. I don't think that he should have been as subtle as he was with the messaging. I think he should have been more open. I think he should have at least done live streams where he explains why he said the things he said to clear some things up. Because I think that could have prevented a lot of the perceived harm, right?
And that's stupid. And it's led.
Because if he had continued making the same content, right, but he was like explaining what is philosophy is, what his political ideology is, what he genuinely believes, why he said the things he said. It's like, okay, people can like that, they can dislike that, but because he's seen as YouTube God, and because Content Cop is seen as like the peak standard of content, right? It's like people are going to listen to you, right? People are going to be more likely to be left-wingers if they see, oh, my idol, iDubbbztv, is a staunch leftist, voting blue, and, you know, it's not like he's changed, he's always been this way, and he's still making this edgy content, but, like, he acknowledges that you can have an edgy sense of humor while being a leftist. It's like, okay, then consequentially you're doing something really good. And I think that if Ian, and I don't blame him for this, but if Ian, let's say, had changed faster, or whatever, like, if he had, let's say changed and then was like, okay, now what? You know, it wasn't a slow process. I feel like he could have done a better job, you know, being more strategic about the way he changes, right? Or if he had just kept posting the same content despite changing personally, and then after that, strategically changing, I think that could have been really beneficial, right? Because, okay, you know, he has this right-wing audience, not all of his audience, you know, there were people like me, but a lot of his audience was right-wing, right? Let's not deny that. That is such a powerful thing, that you have such a powerful platform. Here are all these right-wingers who basically see you as YouTube God. There is so much that Ian could have done. And again, I'm not saying he should feel bad for not doing this. Again, he was slowly changing over time. Again, it's like, I don't know.
To a lot of hate and a lot of bad outcomes. And I just want to make it clear that I am absolutely responsible for my audience.
I don't know. I feel like if he had made a Content Cop on, like, Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or anybody more political, and it's like, okay, it's slightly more politicized over time, I think that could have been really beneficial for the left, right? That would have been really good for us. That we would have gotten a lot of new lefties, right? As opposed to just people like me who can read between the lines and slowly over time, use, the same logic to come to certain conclusions that aren't intuitively obvious.
And, I guess if you want to, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
Well, I think you can be partially responsible. Obviously, that only goes so far. Obviously, you can't mind control people, but if let's say, you're like, oh yeah, this thing is good and I'm going to do this thing, and then your audience copies your behavior, then yeah, you are responsible for that, right?
I know that this apology isn't enough. I've clearly done a lot of damage.
I think that the only reason that there was a little bit of damage, I don't even think it was that much damage. I think that, and maybe this is because I'm speaking anecdotally, and maybe there is more damage that was done. I can't know for sure. But I think it did a lot of good for me. Look at where I am now. Here I am, being a staunch leftist, advocating for trans rights, But iDubbbz was one of the main people who influenced me, believe it or not, right? His logic led to certain conclusions, right? It led to me being more open to left-wing ideology, believe it or not, so long as it's framed in a certain way. And as soon as I saw a left-wing ideology framed in a certain way that's logical, framed for what it is, really, not just people grandstanding and virtue signaling, but like actual ideological leftism, right? As soon as I saw that, it's like, well, okay, here, let me plug in the numbers, iDubbbz set up the equation with the variables, and here are these people, giving me the numbers to plug into the equation. Oh, well, the solution to the equation is left-wing ideology, right? I hope that makes sense.
These videos have been up for a long time and have accumulated millions of views. I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he didn't really do it. I don't know. I feel like he did some good and some bad, right? I feel like Content Cop, again, had its pros and cons, right? And I feel like the problem wasn't content cop itself. It was he was not communicating why he was doing the content cop, right? Like he was not making it clear after the fact, right? He didn't make it clear, okay, here are my moral principles that I'm using personally and why I'm doing this in the first place. You know, it was almost like he was disconnecting himself from the content, and that was the problem. If he had just made it clear where he stands on certain issues, and he were to make it clear, oh, yeah, I'm fine with slurs, but only if you use them non-derogatorily, and if you're genuinely racist, like, get the fuck out of my audience. You don't belong here. You're not welcome. Or some shit like that. It's harsh, yeah, but I think it could have been effective. Or maybe not that. Maybe that's not the approach you want to take. But I feel like there are ways to account for nuance and make it very direct, right? It's sort of like what I do. You know, that's why I stream for multiple hours, you know, just talking, because I have so many things to say and so much nuance to account for that, well, you know, I just talk a lot, right? And that's why I do, why there's a lot of, side tangents, right? But, anyways, before we continue on with the video, Jesus, it's you, I missed you. Aw, well, thank you, honey buns, welcome back. Femboy Jesus, true. A classic YouTube apology video, the bloody classic. I remember when the blonde lad made an apology video too. What was his name again? Logan Maul? Or was it Ronald or Josh? I think it was Darth Maul. I love the... Hello, Wokey! Welcome to the stream, my son. You're my favorite I'm glad to be your favorite femboy. Hell yeah! I think you're reading too into iDubbbz content. He says almost verbatim, I was just an edgy guy making people a joke. None of this philosophical. Okay, but just because... Okay, I think because he bases what he does off of his intuition, which has become very clear now. Because he uses his intuition to make decisions, I think he intuitively knew certain things, right? He intuitively knew who did and didn't deserve content cops made on them. And at the end of the day, you know, there were certain... Because I watched all the content cops multiple times, to see why they were effective, see how I can... You know, because it was like, oh, yeah, younger version of me wanted to, you know, see how he was so successful and why... And how I could become like him. It's like, you know, maybe I did overanalyze it, but it did me a lot of good, you know? I don't know. I think that he was a smart guy, and he sort of assumed that people would understand him. And I think that I understood him and his messaging. But yes, at the end of the day, he did prioritize his edgy humor over the actual messaging, right? And, you know, Matt Smith, this guy has forgiven iDubbbz, yes. Matt Smith, dancing in Morbius to a song that says... Have sex is playing in my head right now. Nice. I honestly highly doubt iDubbbz is as political as you think he is. Well, no, I don't think he is as political as I am, right? Well, yeah, I think he's smart too. Yeah, well, exactly. He's smart. That's the thing. But but here's the thing. He assumed that not assumed, but the audience he truly wanted was one that understood him and his content, one that understood where he was coming from, you know, one that understood that there is a distinction between him and his style of humor, right? But he didn't clarify that enough, right? And, you know, when dumb people that were edgy watched this content instead of smart people that were edgy, well, they took it the wrong way, right? And that was the damage that was caused that he's apologizing for, right? And frankly, I think that all he had to do was, you know, get more into politics and talk about politics, you know? And then, boom, there you go. You know, then if you're going to be a consequentialist like yours truly, you know, it's like, okay, well, then just become a Vosh clone, right? Just watch Vosh streams, Just watch hours of Vosh content, and then boom, there you go, you're set, right? In all seriousness, though, it's like, this is sad. I hope he can become better. Yeah, it's like, I don't even think he did as much wrong as he... I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to see iDubbbz become a lefty streamer. Yeah, here's the thing. I do think that iDubbbz is a leftist, okay? Nobody who's... Okay, look, nobody who is as smart as him or who uses the type of logic or whatever that he uses is a right-winger. Okay, nobody who is as smart as he is right-wing. Or not nobody, but... I mean, obviously there are grifters who are smart, but they're, like, evil or whatever, right? There are people that are genuinely evil that are right-wingers as well, that are smart, but they're evil, right? But in terms of iDubbbz, you know, I mean, I never thought he was... I mean, I guess I used to consider... I don't know, maybe I would have thought Tim Pool was centrist as well back in the day if I had saw his... I don't know. Either way... You know, I don't know. I always saw him as, like, centrist back in the day. I'm like, it was weird because it was like, okay, here are things that I'm okay with iDubbbz saying, but not other people. And the reason was because of the context that he was saying it in, right? The reasons he was saying it, the context. It's like, if anyone else said this, I'd be like, you're fucking weirdo for saying that. But it was like, there was something different about iDubbbz, and I don't know what it was. There was always something different about him, right? Something that resonated with me. Something about him, you know, caring about logic and whatnot, you know, that always appealed to me, right? It's interesting because I think that, you know, and it's funny because I was, you know, before this stream, actually... A few hours ago, before Ian released this video, I was actually editing I was going to make a video on, and I don't even know if I'm going to follow through with this, if I'm going to stick to it, even though I've finished recording, I've done a shit ton of editing for it, this large video project on iDubbbz, but it's like, am I being too critical of him? Because it's like, on one hand, yeah, he did handle the creator clash drama really fucking poorly, but it's like, I mean... At the end of the day, like, he's new to this, you know, being open about his emotions and shit thing, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, is it kind of redundant if I criticize that? I mean, he's probably aware of it. I don't think he's, like, not self-aware. He's a smart guy. I think that ultimately, you know, it's like, okay, what can he do?
This is something that I should live the rest of my life with, and I expect to. I've profited off of this bigoted content for years, and
I think that if he had just made his intent more clear, right? I mean, because again, he's like, okay, you know, okay, you know, it's like, oh, well, if as long as my intentions are good, that's fine. Was used to be my philosophy, but you know, nobody understood my intent, type of thing, right? It's like, okay. Well, the solution there isn't avoid the content altogether. It's, okay, just tell people what your intentions are. Be more transparent. Be more open. You know, and if people try to use you being open against you, then that makes them look shitty, right? It's like, oh, okay, here you are being vulnerable. You know, you're doubling down, you're taking a firm stance, but you're being vulnerable sometimes. But if you're vulnerable in the right way, it can't really be used against you. Right? It can be by a few people, but then they end up looking shitty, and no one takes them seriously, right? That's why I'm kind of an open book sometimes, right? It's like no one has been able to use it against me. They fail miserably every time, right? There are good ways that are rhetorically effective to do this whole, like, you know, edgy style of humor that make your intent more obvious. Whether it be, okay, you know, being overtly political like me, or just... making some of your opinions more apparent, just being yourself more often, right? Explaining your actual thought process. Explaining what you believe, right? Not what the other person believes, you know, makes no sense because it contradicts itself. I mean, that's an important part of it. But, you know, but that's only half the equation. Half the equation is dismantling their belief system The other half is establishing your own, right? A belief system to replace it with, right? That's what was missing. That was the other half of the equation. And I think that he's realizing that was the other half of the equation, but I don't think that he realizes yet that those halves of the equation, those two halves aren't mutually exclusive, right? You can do the edgy thing, the whole, like, okay, whatever, say whatever the fuck you want type of thing, while making while being more intentional about the way you're presenting certain messages, right?
I've made a successful career out of it.
Like, you shouldn't have to do what I did, where you analyze the content cop, and then, oh, okay, yeah, now I'm reading between the lines, and now I understand the message, because it's like, okay, but you shouldn't have to read between the lines in a YouTube video, right? And maybe that's what iDubbbz was missing, well, he expected people to read between the lines, but only people like me are willing to do that. And that's why I never thought he was a right-winger, right? Because no right-winger is smart enough, like right-wingers either have a very basic worldview or they present one, right? Because they know that, okay, well, you have to sort of ignore reality and not be as smart to genuinely believe in this ideology, right? You can't have a complex worldview because then that fucks everything up, right? But right-wingers hate the idea of things like literary analysis or reading between the lines or understanding nuance, right? But that was a fundamental aspect of Ian's content was nuance. That is an inherently left-wing thing, right? That is very left-wing, whether he realizes it or not. Whether he realized it at the time, realizes it now, doesn't realize it, regardless. That level of nuance is inherently left-wing. That is the type of analysis you would expect to see from a left-winger, right?
And
it's just he presented it in a certain way that was aesthetically right-wing. But I don't know, I always saw past that. It's like, oh, yeah, aesthetically, yeah, he's an edgelord, but, like, he's not, like, a right-winger. Like, here's the actual message he's saying. Here's how he's presenting it. These are disconnected, right? But people, misinterpret whatever he says, and they'll either, take it at face value, misinterpret it so that it fits their own ideology, whatever, without actually listening to the logic behind it, right? It's like, Ian expected people to, find the logical take his arguments to their logical conclusions, but they didn't. They just misconstrued them and took them out of context. I've seen people take the "I like bullying" quote out of context. And I think that that's where Ian is, like, recognizing, okay, yeah, people don't understand what I meant by that. They don't know why I said that, right? They think I genuinely wanted to just bully people for no reason. That they think that was the point of the content cop, right?
And that's not right. I think that this is only a step in the right direction, and I know that a lot more needs to be done to even approach a life that I would think would be, like, acceptable.
Oh, and also notice how most of the people, I guess with the exception of Tana, that he criticized, were predominantly right-wing. Like, Tana was the exception, and she was the one who was, like, trying to shit on iDubbbz first, right? I don't think iDubbbz would have ever made a content cop if Tana, a Tana content cop if Tana had never, talked shit about iDubbbz in the first place, right? But, like, people like Keemstar, Leafy, Rice Gum, etc., had a predominantly right-wing audience when those content comps were made, right? I mean, don't lie. I mean, we all know that that's kind of true, right? Like, so, I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that he, had a tendency to target people that had a more right-leaning audience,
I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video, I'm going to match and donate to an organization
based
that would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this.
I think it's look, I think it's not even the type of rhetoric. I think it's the misuse of a type of rhetoric, or not using it as effectively as it could be used, right? Using an edgier style of rhetoric is really effective if you want to move people to the left, but you have to use it like super intentionally. You have to be very intentional about it, as well as being being overtly political sometimes, right? You got to do that. Otherwise, it's like, okay, people are going to misinterpret it.
This channel.
And then if they misinterpret it, then they become more right-wing.
And again, this isn't the end of what I'm doing. This is just the start. I don't feel like a lot of this content represents me as a person, at least not anymore. There was a time where it probably perfectly represented me because I was a nasty, apathetic, insecure person. Now that I don't feel like it represents me and I want to distance myself from it and keep it from, indoctrinating more people, I'd like to unlist the videos so that people, can access them still for whatever, purposes they might want to do that for.
That's interesting. Okay. He refers to it as indoctrination, right? I think that, yeah, if people get the wrong message from those videos, again, that's going to be a lot of people. A lot of people didn't understand the point of content cop. I mean, I think that, yeah, maybe they would be, sent down a pipeline. There could be a right-wing pipeline there, so I don't necessarily entirely disagree with that. If those videos on their own, with no context of what Ian actually believes, I guess they could lead to that. But the videos themselves are not inherently bad for the most part, I don't think. And frankly, I think that he just needed to be more overt about his intentions and his beliefs. But this is what I mean when I say he is left-wing, he's political, right? I don't think he would have referred to it as indoctrination if he wasn't political, right? But he is political, he's left-wing, and he knows that, okay, yeah, there is a pipeline that they could be led down accidentally, that I wasn't really paying attention to back then, right? But he is politically aware. Absolutely.
But it's not being proliferated on the website. I feel like that's the best solution, at least for the time being. And for anyone who liked those videos, I want this video to be an example and a lesson for you. You can like content, but you can also think that it's irresponsible and it's hurting other people. So just tap into that part of your brain that's saying like, oh, okay, it's probably not that important that this video stays online, because truthfully, I've seen it, I've experienced the content, but it's done a lot of damage. We can just let it go. I'm sorry to everyone that I made content cop videos on.
I don't think Ian should be apologizing to everyone who made a content cop on. I don't think Leafy deserves an apology, because he was a piece of shit, and he would bully literal 10-year-olds. So, again, it's like, okay, who gives a shit? Rice Gum was an obnoxious asshole and a narcissist. And I don't really think he even cared that much about the content cop. He just milked it. I don't see a reason to apologize to him. Tana, I could understand apologizing to her, because I think maybe, he overreacted to her harassing him. Maybe. Maybe he... yeah, I will say he probably went too far with that. Even though a lot of the points he made were correct. But yeah, fair enough. I mean... I guess he could apologize to the Fine Bros, because it's like, okay, that content comp didn't really serve that much utility. Jinx was just stealing other people's content, so I don't think he deserves an apology, because he was greedy and stealing people's content and calling it his own. Like, he wasn't like me, where his reactions would consist of, like, I don't know, pausing the video and giving actual commentary. He would just play it in its entirety, right? He wouldn't ever pause it. He would just be like sitting there in the corner like,
I still don't like
Yeah.
the majority of you.
Yeah.
And it's fine, but
That's
I
so
can
true,
recognize
guys.
that you did not deserve the hate and harassment that I sent your way. I particularly want to apologize.
That was his type of reaction, right? It wasn't very good. He would just do that for the entire video. And then he would ramble for 2 minutes at the end or some shit. No one would actually watch that, right? Who else did he make a content cop? Oh, amateur food reviews. That content cop, I don't see why he would apologize. You know, again, no one was a specific target. I don't think any of those people ended up getting harassed or anything. That was just a kind of a goofy video. It was very light criticism. You know, he wasn't targeting a specific individual or saying anything really bad about them. I don't know. He made kind of a mean joke about the guy, what was his name? Joey's World Tour or whatever. But to be fair, everyone did at the time. Not saying that makes it good or whatever. I don't know. I thought it was a fine joke, but okay. I could see why you would want to apologize for that. Specifically, maybe. I don't know. The toy review channels, I don't know why the fuck you would apologize to them either. Like, the shit that they did was, like, a terrible way to raise children, so I don't know why you would apologize to them. The tech review channels, I don't think that they were hurt either, so why would you apologize to them? Keemstar deserved the content comp. He was being a piece of shit at the time and no one was calling him out. So, yeah, he deserved it. So, most people deserved it, right? It's like, okay, maybe the exceptions are I would say the only exception might be Tana, right? And maybe Rice Gum. The Fine Bros deserved it, but the content comp wasn't very useful. Because it's like, oh, he's just saying what other people already said. But the Fine Bros were being pieces of shit too. Like, they were being greedy pieces of shit. Right? I don't know. Maybe the anti-Semitic jokes that iDubbbz made were too far or something. Maybe he doesn't like that. I guess he could apologize for that, maybe. But, like, I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't think that he should apologize to everyone. I think he should apologize to a few specific individuals that he felt like he might have, you know, given too much shit to, right? Because I will say, yeah, Tana definitely got harassed after that content comp was made by, whatever, you know, the Ian's fan base, right? I know, and doing the whole thing, you know, I don't know. Even though it was funny, the whole going to TanaCon thing was kind of, you know, a step too far, right? Either way, most of the content comps were valid, right? Especially the Leafy one. Leafy deserved all of it. All of the shit. Right? Because, I mean, after all the shit that he put innocent people through, you know, like, what was it? The autistic kid, or whatever, that he bullied, and then his fan base harassed that person, and all of the different, like, 8 to 12-year-olds, you know, that he used to, you know, constantly bully for no reason, and then they would get harassed, even though they couldn't really defend themselves, etc. Right? He would pick targets that were defenseless, right? But Ian didn't do that, right? So, I don't know. Oh, hello, audio. Okay, the audio's working again. I don't know what the hell just happened there. Oh, dear. You have yellow teeth, my guy? Well, that's probably because of the white balance. I have white lighting. Like, the lighting is, like, super, like, fucking, whatchamacallit, like, very it's like cold lighting, right? And the auto white balance makes it more yellow. So I could see why my teeth would look more yellow. If that's genuinely what you're saying. Lyrios, my favorite femboy. Hello. Oh, wait, I already read that. What the fuck is this? Find God? Hard to find something that doesn't exist. To a right-winger, every problem is individualistic. To a left-winger, most problems are systemic and inherently complex. Yeah, true. What left-winger says the N-word? Nigga, excuse me? The fuck did you just say? Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. Context matters. It's almost like people can have nuanced worldviews. If you think about lefties, if you think about it, lefties were the original edgelords. True, that's what I've been saying. Look at the hippies in the 80s or the flappers in the 20s. Exactly. What's wrong with right wing? The problem with right wingers is they're basically wrong about everything. They think that trans people aren't people and don't exist. They think that women are property. They think that black people are inferior, etc. Right? All sorts of dumb shit like that. And they generally want to make the world a worse place. Specifically, the politicians. I think that there are, right-wing people that are just misled by right-wing propaganda. But right-wing, conservative pundits and politicians are a fucking problem, right? If you think... Oh, wait. Dude, Keffel's fucking annihilated Leafy in her video, lord. True. Typical left-winger ignoring chat. It's almost like the world doesn't revolve around you. It's almost like I was doing a segment and that I take breaks to read chat. It's almost like the goal is not to, just read chat for the entire duration. It's almost like I go back and forth between doing segment-oriented shit and reading chat and interacting with people, right? Only pipeline is your rectum? Dude, what? Okay, Barry Stanton. What? I know you're obsessed with my rectum, but okay. Pre-recorded? Yeah, it's totally pre-recorded. By the way, Femyoz, will you remember us when you're famous? Hell yeah, I will. Pre-record, L exposed, true. Relax, he checks chat every half an hour or so. It's not really that type of stream. And then these people are really funny. They said the N-word. Oh, wow. That's hilarious. Show butthole, you should, would not smash. Well, I wouldn't want you to. Uh-oh, the perma-virgins are here to see the bot people existing. True. They're mad. They're mad. Anyways. It's like, I don't know. People get mad over everything, and then they say that left-wingers are the sensitive ones, but at the end of the day, when it comes to, actual left-wingers, and I don't mean, people that pretend to be left-wingers, for the aesthetic of it, but, people that are ideologically aligned with the left like me, right? It's usually people like me are the most disaffected, and have, the edgy... I mean, have you ever met a trans person before? If you have, you'll know that trans people tend to have some of the edgiest humor, right? Specifically trans women, I've seen, right? Trans women usually have edgy humor. I don't know. Not all of them, but from what I've seen. But yeah. I don't know. But if any of you want to debate me, my Discord is linked in the description. Also, you should, ease the N-word with an A in the future. Did I not do that? I mean, I didn't say hard R. I mean, I can do that, but if you want, if somebody donates money, I'll do it. Cause it's whatever. If somebody pays me to say a word, then I'll probably say it. I don't give a shit. It's like, oh no, someone might clip me. No, you use the soft day, but people will still get... Yeah, I don't care if people get triggered. That's the point. The point I'm making when I say certain words is that I'm not, like, afraid to say words or to offend people. I don't give a shit. That's the point. I'm doing what iDubbbz failed to accomplish, right? It's like he accidentally dropped the torch a little bit too early, and people misinterpreted it. It started a fire, but I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back and grab the torch and actually make it right. You know what I mean? It's like I'm doing what iDubbbz wanted to do, you know? He just didn't accomplish it, right? He wasn't articulate enough to do so. You should transmax. That's a... Okay. Isn't transmaxing like when you start out as a guy, but then because you're like not getting laid because you're like short, weak, and pathetic or some shit, then you go on HRT and become a woman, and then you get hella sex. Isn't that like a 4chan meme? I don't remember. It was I mean, I will go on HRT, but not because you told me to. Because I want to. Because I think it's the right decision for me. Anyways, I don't know. Let's continue.
To Tana. Tana, I'm sorry. I should have never made that video. I harassed Tana in person.
I think he should have made the video, but differently. I don't think that making the video itself was the problem. I just think he went too far. You know, he shouldn't have, like, gone to the event, right? Again, it was kind of funny, but it's like, okay. You know, there were already plenty of things you could just criticize her for. Like, it wasn't like you had to go to the event to prove that she was a hypocrite, right? It's like, okay, here are clips of you saying one thing, here's clips of you saying or doing the opposite. Boom, there's the video, problem solved, right? But he couldn't have left it at that, right? He had to make the video on a larger scale than that, right? And so that's what he did, right?
And then harassed her online, and that's...
To be fair, she harassed you online first, so I wouldn't feel bad about that part, but I would just apologize for going too far, right? You know, maybe the video should have been more lighthearted and less spiteful, maybe, I guess you could say. Like, less mean-spirited, maybe. I don't know. More jokey. Less serious. You know what I mean?
Deplorable behavior. It's so stupid. I'm also sorry to all the black viewers and minority groups who had to put up with that video and put up with, you know, the phrases. I said either it's all okay or none of it's okay.
Okay, to be fair, I still kind of agree with that, because it's like, okay, why is this slur categorically different from all the other ones, right? Now, obviously, something that I disagreed with iDubbbz on in that video was that they're all equally offensive. I think he's like, oh, but you're willing to say other slurs that are just as offensive? I remember hearing him specifically say that. And even the first time he said that, I'm like, okay, well, they're not equally offensive. People get offended by some more than others, right? I don't see anyone getting... like, come on. Realistically, who you know, in current times is getting offended by the word zipperhead, right? Like, basically nobody, right? Come on. But, you know, okay. So, obviously, they're, you know, whatever. They're on, you know, different levels in terms of how offensive they are. Not to mention that there's a difference between the A ending and the ER ending, you know. Something I learned from Spanish class, you know, was that, you know, it's really, you know, conjugating your verbs is really important, you know? So, you know, if it's the ER ending, it's an infinitive, whereas, you know, the A ending is el ea usted, you know? You gotta, you know, that was a really shit joke. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, you know, where was I going with this? Oh, right. Oh, wait, no, I lost track. I'm sorry. Oh, right, we're on the topic of, slurs. I think that the context matters more than anything else. At the end of the day, every word is just a series of syllables. The way you use them is what gives them meaning, right? And I think that the context it's being used in the sentence is more important than any historical context, right? I think as long as it's obvious, as to why somebody is saying something, I think that that's good enough. I thought it was fairly obvious, right? Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like giving too much people, giving people too much credit in terms of their intelligence. But I like to assume that people are intelligent because I believe in charitability as a concept, right? Either way, I don't know. It seems like his new approach is him disavowing that though. Like I don't know what the implications of that are in terms of his moral framework. It's like I don't know. It feels like I don't like it because it feels I don't know. It feels like he's taking a threshold deontology approach, and I don't know. Come on, there's better philosophical framework to use, right? Like, come on.
And that's just so dangerous and stupid. I
wouldn't say it's dangerous. Stupid, yeah, I don't know. It was a dumb hill to die on. I've been saying that, I guess, to an extent. It's like, okay, is that really the number one hill you want to die on? Maybe you want to die on it occasionally, that's fine, but it's like, okay, that shouldn't be the main hill you die on. There's other hills to die on as well, right?
I've made content that I'm proud of over the years. It hasn't been as consistent as maybe I'd like it to have been, but there is a lot of content that I think had a net positive on the world, and I'm going to strive to continue on that trend. But again, I'm absolutely going to continue to make mistakes, but I want the mistakes to be a lot smaller and a lot less serious. I also want to give some clarity to the post-fight speech that I gave. I mean, it wasn't a speech. It was a phrase. I was like,
I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I really do.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why people shit on him for this. Like, there's nothing wrong with this, right? It's like, oh, dude's crying, getting emotional. Why do I care? Oh, wait, I don't. Because there's nothing wrong with that.
I do appreciate the support, and, thank you for coming.
That was addressing the people over the years that I neglected and I left behind. The people whose feelings I, didn't take into consideration. Those are the people who I was addressing as, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Anyone who thinks that I should be shouting the N-word from the
Sorry, I'm eating. Don't want to talk with my mouth open, right? But, one sec. Sorry. As I was saying, no, I don't think that's something he should do. I'm not going to say whether he should or shouldn't do it, but I don't think there is a certain criteria of the number of times you have to say the N-word in public or in private, right? It's like, okay, say whatever you want, I don't give a shit. Personally, I'm indifferent to it, but what I'm not indifferent to, however, is the way it's used, right? For instance, if you call someone the N-word as an insult, then I have a problem with that, right? Then that might make me mad, right? If you're using it to, try and be shitty to somebody else, right? Then that's a problem, right?
rooftops.
Kind of like the way Tana said it in the past.
I don't want to be your cup of tea. Now I want to talk about...
Okay, so it does seem like he is disavowing his old audience. I kind of figured, but he didn't outright say it, right? I mean, he kind of did, but he kind of didn't.
Events and situations that have happened over the past 5 years of my life that have led me to the place I'm at now. One year I was at a convention and a bunch of fans were, wanting pictures.
Damn, I wish I was there.
And this particular fan came up to me and said, I know you probably don't like transgender people, but can I, get a picture? That smacked me in the
Oh shit. God damn, that... Okay, that hit a little bit too close to home. Alright, okay. As a transgender iDubbbz fan myself, god damn. Yeah, no, his old content never gave me the impression that, he hated trans people. I don't really think he gave a shit, right? Like, it didn't seem like an issue he ever cared about, or talked about, or whatever. But yeah, I could see why that would kinda... Damn. Fuck.
face. I was like, oh, holy shit. Why would you think that? But I mean, it was fairly obvious. I was being cruel, hateful, bigoted, and being very uncaring about people's feelings.
Shit. Fuck. Fuck, maybe I shouldn't... Okay, fuck. Maybe I don't make the video on him. Shit. Fuck. God damn it, I don't know. Now I'm conflicted. I was gonna make a video, because there is still valid criticism about the Froggy Fresh situation, right? It's like, okay, you basically, shot yourself in the foot there, right? It's like, nobody benefited from Froggy getting kicked, right? It's like, okay, you and Anissa get harassed more because people are mad. You basically give Sam Hyde a free W, because, everyone's like, oh, yeah, ooh, yeah, it's because of Sam Hyde being based or whatever the fuck, I don't know. And, it's like, okay. Now, that was a very rash and unintelligent thing for him to do, right? And it also meant less money went to charity, etc. Nothing good came out of it. But again, that's me being a consequentialist. I don't know. It seems like he's leaning more towards threshold deontology to an extent, or well, maybe not even that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, at the end of the day, man, god damn, that last part. Damn. Okay. Okay. I feel okay. All right, you know what? Here's how I feel about it. I feel like it wasn't the energy itself. I think that the energy was misdirected. I think that if Ian had been more deliberate about how he directs that energy, he could have done a lot of good, right? So if instead of making a content cop on Tana, for instance, if he were to make a content cop on someone like Matt Walsh, that would be really fucking good. He should do that. He should bring back content cop, but like, or something similar, like make a new series where he like shits on political pundits that have harmful ideas, right? I mean, I don't know, it might be too late to, sway public perception as much as he used to in the past, but I don't know, I mean, it's still worth a shot. At the end of the day, a Matt Walsh content cop, a Ben Shapiro content cop, something like that, I think would be really useful. Or fuck, find any right-wing YouTuber and shit on them. But don't make it Sam Hyde though, okay? Don't even bother. That, like, making a documentary with Sam Hyde was a stupid thing in the first place. There was never anything that he could have gained out of it. Like, that was not smart. That was at all, right?
That is a very fair assessment to make. I was giving this person bad vibes, and I think I've given a lot of people extremely bad vibes.
And this is exactly why I frame my arguments the way I do, and why I express myself the way I do, right? I deliberately kind of, fuck with the vibes a little bit, on purpose, because I do want to distinguish between, okay, here's my sense of humor / style of presentation, here's my opinions, and then somewhere in between is the logic I use, and the logic behind it all is connected. It's all interconnected to an extent, but the logic is at the center, right? And then here's my, here's my opinions, here's my humor, whatever, or style, whatever you want to call it, right? And at the end of the day, that's why it's effective, right? If I, no right winger is gonna watch a a left-winger and listen to them if, you know, they're like, oh, well, they're just, like, overly sensitive, they get offended by jokes and whatnot. But if I'm at the forefront making, alright, sorry, if I'm at the forefront making those jokes, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, right, but then it's like, okay, I can sort of trick, you know, I don't want to say trick, because I'm not, like, doing something dishonest, but, like, I guess convince subconsciously, you know, whatever, probably mostly center-right people to actually listen to me, right? Because they'll have to consider, okay, well, this passes the vibe check, so I listen to what the person says because they passed the vibe check, right? And then they're like, wait, this isn't what I believe. And then they actually have to think about it. Okay, well, you know, both of these people that have contradictory beliefs that are, you know, arguing against each other, I mean, they both passed the vibe check, but, like, which one seems more correct? And that is a rhetorical strategy that is really good to have, I think. And I know that I'm more, I don't know, serious right now, I guess. I'm not really cracking very many jokes. I don't know, maybe it's because this is I don't know, to me this is a serious thing, because, like, this is the guy that I grew up watching. His content influenced me a lot, in a positive way. And maybe, again, I might be in the minority there. Maybe it didn't for most people, but, I mean, hey.
Another event that was very important for me to experience was I went on a boxing podcast. I was basically, like, trying to walk back my Tana content cop. You know, I was still very, like, insecure and uncomfortable with the fact that I made that video, and but I was still coping. You'll see me struggle in this clip to, you know, say that it was wrong.
So I just wanted to let you talk on that, right? Because obviously using the N-word is definitely frowned upon by a lot of people, especially by a non-African American, but I was just curious.
That was a very weird video because I wanted to, like, criticize her for her, like, sort of flagrant use of it. I've been pretty flagrant about it too, not in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed, and that I think that distinction is important still. I don't think that should be ignored, because I think it makes it, if nothing else, his intent kind of obvious, right?
I thought there was a message to be shared there.
I think there kind of was, to an extent. I think he just kind of butchered it a little bit.
And I don't think it was particularly... It was okay in criticizing her, but I think it...
Yeah, it was okay in criticizing her.
Like, I probably wasn't the person to deliver the message, if that makes...
Well, I think anybody can deliver a message, right? It's like, okay. It's not about who you are, it's about the message itself, right? Now, if you're not a person to deliver a message, then maybe it's not a message you agree with. But whatever.
Makes sense. There was a message that I was trying to put out there, and, like, I'm not really the person to put out that message. I don't regret making the video. I think, you know, there's
well, he does now.
Bits and pieces to take from it that I think are valuable, but, you know, I probably wouldn't make it these days. I'm very grateful to those guys and how they broached the subject, because, you know, it didn't put me on the defensive. It just made me realize, like, I'm stupid. I'm stupid, and I really need to, like, acknowledge these things. Like, what am I doing? I'm still trying to make excuses for myself and, like, you know, why I made that video. It's like, it was a dumb idea.
I mean, it was made out of spite, let's be real. It was over YouTube drama. Is it a dumb idea? Yeah, kinda. But, I mean, hey, whatever.
I harassed someone. I was saying...
To be fair, they harassed you first.
...slurs, and I was trying to justify it all.
Okay, I don't care about the slurs part. It's like, okay. It's like, if it's obvious why you're saying it, and then it's like, okay, then it's not a big deal.
A very big thing that has...
I think that the most important thing is making your message clear, though. That was the issue, is your message wasn't clear. And I mean, you were close. You were really close to, you know, making it clear, but I feel like there was, like, a wall that you put up to prevent anyone from seeing into you as a person, right? And that might have been the issue.
Sort of altered my view on all of this is just the amount of hate and harassment my wife Anissa has received over the years.
and which is not justifiable. I don't think that his wife has anything to do with it, right? You know, if Ian is whatever, disaffected, edgy, whatever, willing to give harsh criticism, that's fine. He can, if he can dish it, he can take it. But that doesn't mean that his wife is the same way. His wife isn't the one making content cops, so why direct that energy at her, right? That doesn't make any sense.
She's had to deal with it from the beginning of our relationship, and I have done a horrible job at acknowledging her and her feelings for it. A lot of the time I just thought that was her problem, or that was you know, other people's problem. Like, it's not my problem that you're getting hate and harassment. And it's like, no, it absolutely is. You know, that's the culture that I cultivated.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
And I, you know, didn't do anything to change that. You know, over the years it's changed a little bit, but you know, I don't think I've still fully acknowledged how responsible I am for the amount of harassment that Anissa has had to deal with.
Well, and I think there's some level of ambiguity there, right? Like, if you're a public figure, you're gonna get some amount of harassment, right? And your partner is gonna get more harassment than they would if you were, whatever, a normal private citizen, right? So there is a little bit of ambiguity there, but sure, I don't necessarily disagree with him here.
And this year I decided to speak more candidly and be more open about who I am as a person,
And I think that that's a good thing, by the way.
and to speak on my life a little bit more. And I did that on Anthony Padilla's podcast.
Yeah, a lot of people got mad about that. I don't know.
These are the people that I'm attracting. These are the people that I'm entertaining. Like,
Oh god, and people accused of him of being a hypocrite here when he's literally criticizing his past self. Like that was the point. It's like, oh yeah. You know, oh yeah, it's like I needed to see, oh, here's somebody doing the same thing as me. I don't like that very much. Maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. It was a self-critique. And then people accused him of being hypocritical here. I don't understand.
I need to reevaluate things. They're relating and enjoying this content for a reason, and that's not maybe the same reason that I'm trying.
And that's what I've been saying. They don't understand his content. You know, they enjoy it for the wrong reasons. They don't understand why he's making the content he's making. They don't understand any of the underlying messages or what Ian believes, right? Because either they can't read between the lines or they're choosing not to, right?
Trying to make. I had a very Wild West mentality when it came to online behavior. Like, people are going to do what they want to do. People are going to say what they want to say. And I can pretty much do the same because it's the internet. But I think you have to be a lot more responsible. If you guys are at all interested in how I've arrived here, that video gives...
I think that strategic would be a better word than responsible. I think as long as you're strategic, I think that, like, if you're going to be edgy and say slurs, you got to be strategic about it, right? There has to be some, like, thought process behind it, right? Okay, how can I say this in a way where it's like, okay, I'm obviously not endorsing actual hatred towards any group. Okay, how do I make it clear in the context, right? Because context matters, obviously. But how do I make it clear what I believe versus my sense of humor, right? How do I make it obvious that there's a distinction? There's almost like a disconnect.
Gives, you know, a good bit of context and talks about some of my life a little bit. There is a clip from this interview that's been floating around the internet, and it's me calling my fans antisocial and basement dwellers, and I was like, I didn't like, you know, interacting with my fans. I just want to be clear, like, that was my realization. I think a lot of people are like, of course that happened, is because you were creating that culture and you were attracting those people. And it's like, yes, I know. I know now. I didn't know before. It was my realization upon, you know, meeting more and more fans that I was like, oh shit, you guys are...
Yeah, if only he had met me. If he had met me, then he would have stayed the same. He would have realized, oh, actually, I did a little bit of good. Here's a leftist. Staunch leftist fan. Based leftist. Okay, I guess I can continue doing this if I'm gonna create more leftists.
Are struggling. It was easy for me to identify them struggling when they were outside of my body. But the antisocial basement-dwelling incel that was inside here, I couldn't acknowledge that. I couldn't recognize that. So I needed the mirror to be held up to me. In closing, I want to say that I have always thought that I was an empathetic person because
It's interesting because it's like I've almost had like I'm almost like the opposite, right? It's like, oh, I don't care if other people say this word, but like I don't usually say it myself, right? It's like a weird thing where it's like I'm more comfortable hearing other people saying slurs than saying them myself, right? At least in certain context, it really depends. It's like, okay, yeah, it feels kind of uncomfortable saying a certain word sometimes. It depends. It depends on the context, right? Context really matters to me. And also if it's like if I'm typing it out, it's not the same to me, right? There's like a disconnect there.
I thought, well, I get angry, I get sad. Of course, I got empathy. Seems easy, right? Empathy. I definitely have that. There were moments where like a dog would die in a film and I'd cry. So it's like, of course I have empathy. But
like you weren't using it, I guess. Okay, that's fair enough.
I never did. I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And
okay, so he's talking about empathy as like a skill almost. Okay, that's fair enough.
I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic to say at the age of 32 I've acquired empathy, but I have, and I've realized it because
I mean, better late than never, right?
I just like can't help myself but like feel for other people's pain and suffering.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Now, I'm still not perfect.
I mean, I'm the kind of person that can turn it on and off. Like, if I don't like somebody, you know, or if I think if someone's a shitty person, I'm not going to feel as much empathy for them. But I think that that's normal. That's, like, normal human behavior. But, like, if there's somebody I care about, or that, like, even if I have a neutral opinion of them, I'm going to feel empathy for them, right?
I think that is... my empathy meter's only maybe like a quarter of the way filled up, potentially. But it's at least there. And I just want you guys to know that you can unlock ability empathy if you experience more life. It might take you getting hurt a little bit.
I mean, I've been hurt quite a bit, but fair enough.
But it's worth it. It is so...
I agree, by the way. It is worth it.
So worth it. So thank you for watching, everyone. I do want to create more regular content.
I mean, fair enough. I don't know. It seems like his audience is kind of split. I'm gonna leave a like. That was actually a pretty good video. He had a lot of good points. Let's see if it's still
the content I'm talking about specifically are...
Okay, it seems like it's being more positively received than his video about Froggy. That's good, because I think that this video was good, but the Froggy one was bad. So I'm glad to see that people are reasonable. Hello, Jalen. Welcome to the stream. I think iDubbbz tripped on some shrooms and developed empathy. That's my theory. Or maybe he went to therapy. Yeah, or it could be both. I think you're a minority. Most people who watch iDubbbz content become very edgy and hateful people, I feel. Well, I became one of the two things. I became edgy but not hateful. We can see half the internet attacking him because he isn't edgy and hateful anymore. True. It's like, am I the only one with a nuanced take, though? It's like, goddamn. Even Xander Hall, who is like, okay, he's in favor of iDubbbz changing, but it's like, his take was still shit for other reasons. As a white person, you only get 3 N-word cards during your lifetime. True, but Obama gave me like 20. The sad thing is that most people on the internet don't really care about the intent. True. I think most of the commentary community is an example of people not getting it. That's why it's dangerous. Yeah, and I think that that's what iDubbbz had to realize, right? iDubbbz is the prime example of what happens if a tactical N-word goes wrong. Yeah, that's why I don't do it as liberally as he did. He straight up tried to do a tactical N-word. I think part of it is that he's becoming the kind of person he would have roasted back in the day. But he wouldn't. That's the thing. He wouldn't have. He wouldn't have roasted himself back in the day. Like, if you think that that's a fundamental misunderstanding of him as a person, right? There's a reason for every content cop he had a reason for. Even the Tana one, I mean, that one was just spite, because she was talking shit about him. And all the other ones, it's like, oh, well, here's a genuinely shitty person doing something shitty, and they need to be called out. He used to come off as strong and confident, even though he's more morally correct now. He's coming off as weak. But that's the thing, is it's like counterintuitive. It's like he's not overcompensating anymore. That's the thing. Like, if he had the same kind of energy and aggression, but speaking in favor of progressive beliefs, I think he wouldn't get as much hate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah. Autism moment for real, relatable. Bunch of Sam Hyde fans rated this chant. Their hero is a groomer. Sam Hyde did a 15-year-old named Marky. Oh, that sucks. That's really unfortunate. You know what? I think I might temporarily end stream. Actually, I don't know. What if I, like, didn't end stream, but I just, like, paused it for an hour? Yeah. You know what? Why don't we do that? Smash like and subscribe if I don't come back. I'll come back if you smash like and subscribe, probably. I'll come back, unlike your father, alright? Sorry. That was mean. Anyways. Okay, and we're back, everybody. All 0 viewers, of course. Because I decided to take a small break. I know that that's terrible for audience retention during the live stream, but I honestly couldn't care less, okay? Yeah, that's right. You better believe I'll just be continuing on the same stream instead of a different one because I care a little bit too much about the past live stream / podcast / whatever. You know, this is just the process of me recording the content rather than, well, just streaming because I only care about the live aspect of it. I mean, I do care about that, but, Alright. Anyways. Oh, there's food in my mouth. I mean, I did just eat. I was a hungry hippopotamus, okay? Very, very hungry. So I decided, you know what? It's time to treat myself to a meal, you know? And, that's precisely what I did, even though I wasn't even that hungry, to be honest. But I decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'm hungry. But not really. But I also need food, right? Right. Okay, yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm just stupid, okay? I am clinically stupid, alright? Yeah, that's how it works. That's my excuse. Yeah, alright. Anyways, oh boy. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, we watched a cool iDubbbz video, I think, maybe, something like that. I don't know, some shit like that. Oh dear. Alright, you know what, I think that this is the part of the video where, what do we do now? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm not gonna wait for people to come back, yeah, why would I even bother? Alright, anyways, this is the part where we read the comments. Honestly, man, I just want you to run around and eat pickles and storm drains again. So true, I couldn't agree more. What did iDubbbz say in response? It says he replied. Did he not reply? It says that iDubbbz replied. Apparently he didn't? Okay, well, fair enough. Wait, did he? Wait, no, wait, what? Okay, well, that's nice. To be fair, some deserved the content comp on them, but the Kickstarter crap and dumpster chicken videos are absolute gems. Those were your best work. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I thought that the Leafy content comp, was the best video on his channel. That and the Content Deputy were my 2 favorites. But those, to be fair though, I'm gonna be biased a little bit because those were the first 2 videos of his that I saw, right? You know, I went from being a cringe, I don't even think I was a Leafy fan at that point, but I was like, you know, I was definitely like still in the, oh my god, the cringe, whatever. Okay, you know what? Honestly, I liked the content comp videos as an early teenager, but your more recent documentary style videos are way cooler, in my opinion. Love how you've changed. It's upsetting to see how much of your audience didn't manage to grow up as you did. I mean, I agree to an extent, though I don't like the whole idea of, oh, edgy humor is growing up or whatever. I don't know. I think that that's stupid. I don't think it accounts for nuance. It's like you can grow up and still have the same humor. You don't have to. It's not obligatory. But it doesn't mean it's that any change is a good change or a bad change. It's just, I don't know. It's neutral. It's different, all right? This is such a human video, it takes a lot for someone to admit sincerely to all their faults. As someone who watched your content growing up, there is no doubt that I've grown out of a lot of your old stuff, to say the least. I look back on it with humor and nostalgia, however, I see that, damn, some of your stuff has not aged well. I don't know, I don't think, maybe. I don't know, I kind of disagree. I think it aged well. Or not aged well, but, like, I don't think it aged at all. I just think it's the same. Sorry. Anyways, words cannot describe how much I admire your decision and how you handled this entire video. It was extremely mature, inspiring, and profound. I wish the best for you and Anissa's future. Oh, that's wholesome. I never would have guessed that his final content comp would be on himself. True. The way I see it, Ian, you are being yourself on the internet now, and that's completely okay. Keep doing you, brother. I know you're smart and will do just fine. True. Whatever direction you choose to go from here, I just hope you can be happy. I'll definitely miss some of your older, more comedic content, though. Especially the one with the sewer pickles. Real. Everyone loves the sewer pickles. Honestly, yeah, no, it's fair enough. I guess. Damn, you fine. Aw, thank you. I was more of a Filthy Frank person than an iDubbbz person. I was a fan of both. I found out about Filthy Frank because of iDubbbz, because it was like, okay, well, they're in the same sort of community. It's like, oh, who's this Filthy Frank guy? And I was like a big fan of him as well. So I was an iDubbbz clone, and then I was both an iDubbbz clone and a Filthy Frank clone. You know, I copied both of them, you know? But yes, Filthy Frank was, I'd say Filthy Frank was probably more of a creative genius than iDubbbz, but I don't know. I think they're both creative geniuses, to be fair. I don't know, I think he's, I don't know, it feels like iDubbbz is overcorrecting. Is that just me? Or is he overcorrecting a little bit? I feel like he is, but maybe that's just my own bias getting in the way. Because to me, I don't feel like whatever he did was even necessarily a bad thing. But maybe that's because I remember it wrong. I mean, he did say that he would still have the content cops unlisted, but they're just not public anymore. Anyways, So apparently... Oh, interesting. Alright. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Sorry, hold on. Content cop. Okay. Alright. Okay, so now it's unlisted. Alright. But, let's see here. Sorry. Alright. Sorry, I'm really spacey today. I keep spacing out more than I should be. I'm sorry. He would be overcorrecting if he nuked his channel out of shame. Well, that'd be more than overcorrecting. That would just be mental retardation, you know? That would just be pure unadulterated stupidity. I think he's overcorrecting. I mean, I'm not saying he's, like, completely overcorrecting, but I think he's overcorrecting a little bit, which is understandable. I get it. It's like, okay, if you regret doing something, it's like you're gonna lean towards doing the opposite in the future, but it's like, okay, you know, it's like, all right, maybe don't avoid the nuance so much, but, you know, maybe I just misremember the content cop a little bit. So why don't we watch the one that he seems to regret the most, the one on Tana Mongeau. That is right, everybody, and we're gonna be watching it through a new lens, a lens that I probably haven't even really watched it in before. I did smash like though, cause yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just a guy laying on the beach. I don't see what the issue is.
What we do here is go back.
All right, yeah, no, we're gonna skip the intro. We're gonna skip the intro. There's nothing wrong with the intro, obviously. All right, we'll watch this part.
Subscribers, I would be genuinely happy.
Oh. All right, yeah, here we go.
And Mongeau, fuck. Like literally, if iDubbbz broke both of his legs and lost all of his subscribers, I would be genuinely happy. Like.
Well, that's not a very nice thing to say. It's almost like Tana was in the wrong, and that iDubbbz wasn't just harassing an innocent person.
He's a terrible person. Like, you're white and you just say the N-word.
Oh, boy.
Tweeted him, and I don't remember exactly what I said. I'm sure you can find it, but it was like...
Yeah, she said some really nice things about him. We know.
You have 5 million subscribers, you say the N-word in your video. Like, that's not cool. Kill yourself. And I didn't delete it because that wasn't my feelings, you know? Like, I don't fuck with him. I can't believe he has 5 million subscribers. I do think that's...
Cry about it?
Racist. I know some people may disagree. I deleted it because I don't like saying kill yourself. I guess he never responded. I never saw a response. I never thought anything of it again. Like, I don't know. It was just a one-time thing. I didn't fuck with him. I didn't fuck with his videos.
Okay, yeah, then he overreacted. As if the entire video was based on one tweet. I mean, fair enough. But like, okay. Wait, I want to know if the clip of her saying I hope he breaks both of his legs and loses all his subscribers. I have to wonder, was that before or after he went to TanaCon? Because I think that's an important detail that I never even thought of in the past. But now that I'm older, yeah, that's something I'm wondering. I get because I do remember criticizing him for, you know, not specifying the order of events very well, or, oh, you know, this is what Froggy said after being kicked, so obviously this isn't the reason he was banned, but just for reference, he kind of acted like this behind the scenes type of thing. But I criticized him for it in the addressing the Froggy Fresh drama video, right? But this seems like an issue he's had for ages, of not specifying when things are being said, and if it's before or after a certain event that's important.
So now fast forward to the future. I guess the guy that came to my show trying to get me to say the N-word in my video that I'm crying over, that I was terrified over, literally contemplated like canceling my tour. Now I have to like get all these metal detectors, all these security.
I mean, she is over-exaggerating, but I mean, isn't that her job? I mean...
Because I'm fucking terrified. This guy that legitimately terrified me.
I don't even think he was that scary, though.
Was iDubbbz.
Like, it was weird that he went to TanaCon and did that, but I don't think it was, like, terrifying. It's like, oh, that's really uncomfortable. I didn't like that very much. That's all Tana had to say. And then Ian would have been completely in the wrong. I mean, he even acknowledges it later in the video. I do remember that. He's like, yeah, it wasn't even a very funny joke. If you had just said, wow, you're a very unfunny and uncomfortable person, that wasn't very funny and was kind of cringe. Like, he admits that, yeah, she would have just destroyed him if she did that. But obviously, she didn't do that. But, again, you can't, so you can't know for certain how she's gonna react. So it's like, okay. So maybe doing it in the first place wasn't, you know, very good, right? It's like, obviously, you shouldn't be using somebody's reaction as a justification for doing something wrong, right? It's like, this is the same criticism that I gave him when it came to the Froggy Fresh drama. This seems to be a recurring thing. It's just nobody really criticized him for that because, well, you know, it was iDubbbz, it was YouTube God. I do love the chaotic energy here, though. Wait, what song is he using in the background? It's like, damn. I remember specifically trying to find it because I wanted to use it in the background of one of my videos, and I'm like, what song is that? I want to use that as my background music in a video. Because I was like, I don't know, I was doing some, I don't remember what the video was, to be honest. It was ages ago.
We're going on a road trip. We're going to see Tana Mongeau.
You can tell that he's, like, pissed off as well. Like, he is very spite-driven in this video. I'd say he's more spite-driven here than in any other video, and that's probably why he regrets it the most, is because he was doing it out of spite rather than, oh, here is somebody who is so bad that I need to make a video on them, even though they've, like, never interacted with me before. Kind of like Leafy.
At the Tana Mongeau concert in San Francisco, she tweeted some really nice things at me.
She sure did. But all he showed was the one tweet that was definitely, you know, from before, you know, he had, you know, done anything back, right? But I don't know if the clips he showed, or I mean I know that one of them was after he went to TanaCon, but I don't know what else she said before TanaCon, right? I think that's important, and he didn't specify. So maybe yeah, this video probably isn't as good as I remember.
Just a quick little pit stop.
And by that, I don't mean it's less entertaining than I remember. Though obviously it's not going to be as entertaining now, because it's like, okay, I've already seen this, right? But still.
Just so we're in fighting form when we go visit Tana Mongeau. Road trip! If I could clone Tana Mongeau's, I would have 10,000 Tana Mongeau's. Road
Real.
trip! Going to the fucking 7th Street, San Francisco. Time to get some Tana Mongeau's.
I do remember that.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Content Cop. Today's theme on Content Cop is equality. That's right, I've made a lot of videos about dudes with dicks. But this time, I'm gonna make a video about a woman with a vagina. We're talking about Tana Mongeau. She is a storytime YouTuber who speaks from the heart, but also embellishes her stories very heavily. To generalize her channel,
Oh yeah, that's right. She also made garbage content. I forgot about that. That's like, okay, fair enough.
Compared to the Uber driver kidnapped me meme. In fact, I believe that meme was born from her channel.
Okay, yeah, her videos being god-awful and fake and over-exaggerated, and just not very good in general. I mean, fair enough. I see why he made a content cop on her anyway.
Because her life...
Maybe it's not even entirely spite-driven. I mean, that's where it started, right? But
life is fucking crazy. She gets kidnapped, she gets banged, and she fights people. Her life is fucking bananas. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's not bananas. It's actually very mundane. If you boil down any of her videos, you realize, holy shit, I've gotten in arguments before. Someone has lied about...
All the criticism he's making right now is valid, by the way. It's, so I don't... Yeah, and it's not like the entire thing is bad or something he would even have an issue with today, but I guess the overall premise of, you know, some of the things he'll say later in the video, I guess he has an issue with.
About me before. I've had a horrible experience with customer service representatives as well. Now, this is a story all about how Disney star stole my money for cocaine. Now, this is a story all about how Guru Gossip Spy drugged me at Playlist Live. Now, this is a story all about how I was involved in a shooting. For those of you who don't follow the drama, I'll give you a brief rundown of what's happened so far. A couple months ago, Tana Mongeau tweeted at me that she was very unhappy with my use of the N-word. I didn't respond to her tweet. Instead, I did a bit of research and I found out that she used the dreaded N-word in the...
Okay, so it is based on one tweet. Yeah, that's fucking stupid. Okay. You know, say what you will about iDubbbz, but this is like borderline cancel culture type of shit. It's like, oh yeah, you made one bad tweet. Let me proceed to make a 20-minute hit piece on you. And also go to your stupid event to say the N-word. Yeah. Because of what? Because of one singular tweet, right? It is a dumb premise, right?
The past. But she didn't use the N-word in the same way that I use it.
It's like, who does that amount of research over one tweet? I mean, come on. I mean, he accidentally ended up finding, oh, well, shit, I guess they do make garbage content. But I mean, that's not the initial reason why he made the video in the first place, right?
She used it in a very mean-spirited way.
And this criticism is still valid. It's like, yeah, okay, well, the way it's being used is different. And I agree with iDubbbz on that.
You know you're a stupid nigger, right?
You fucking nigger! Growing up in Vegas, everybody said
Oh, here she is bullshitting, trying to come up with a bullshit explanation.
those words, and I didn't even know that they were considered racist at all. They were in
Okay, okay, I could see why, yeah, the content cop might have been warranted.
rap songs, and I totally thought it just meant like homie or like friend.
Yeah, she's lying. She's lying through her teeth. I think the content cop was warranted. Because she is dishonest.
She does a very poor job of trying to explain it away. She's saying, I was 13 or 14, I didn't understand the use of the word. I always thought it meant friend or homie, despite my use of it being, you know you a stupid nigger, right? No one says friend or homie in that way, Tana.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the main criticisms of the way Tana is using it as well is not even just her usage, but her lying about the way she used it or the reason why she used it in the first place. At least iDubbbz was always honest, right? He never lied about his intent. Maybe he wasn't as open as he should have been about what his intentions actually were, but he definitely didn't lie the same way Tana does.
Also, you can't plead ignorance because every high school student in America has learned about slavery. I don't know what you're fucking on about.
True.
But it's hard to be filled with regret because I was just ignorant and uninformed. My parents never said anything. No one ever told me until, like...
Okay, well, if you're hearing it in rap songs, you're not going to use the ER ending. And you're not going to use it as an insult. So, what gives?
Like 4 years later, when people are like, hey, these are racist. And I was like, what? Like...
What? That's racist? No way!
What do you mean? Like, it's in every rap song. Like, Mac Miller says that he's white.
Does he say it with the ER ending?
Like, what's...
Well, they never say it with hard R in rap songs.
Oh, yeah, exactly! So there is quite a bit of valid criticism here, yeah. So it's not like the content cop was unwarranted. And this is what I meant when I said, okay, it's not about whether or not he makes a content cop on her. It's the way he goes about it. It's about some of the messaging itself might be flawed. And not yet, right? It's like, okay, so far he's pretty much been right about everything, though I will say, alright. So, you know, doing all this research and whatnot over one tweet, you know, because she tweeted one thing, is like, okay, that's petty and kind of fucking stupid, right? That might be a bit much. I don't know. Maybe if you didn't find anything on her, you would have been like, okay. Or like if her content was decent, you'd have been like, well, it is content cop, so, not worth it. But because her content is awful, maybe then it's, I don't even know.
Obviously, her explanations are dog shit. None of it adds up.
True.
So what I decided to do was take this word that she's so fucking passionate about, that she tweets at me, kill yourself, and that she'll...
He's referencing the same tweet over and over again.
...vilify me on her live streams about, and...
Oh, did she do that before? Or after? Okay, if she was vilifying him on her live streams and whatnot, and it was like a constant thing, then, I mean, yeah, then, okay, fair enough. Then, okay, whatever.
And I decided to take it to her front door and see how she'd react if I simply asked her to say the dreaded N-word.
I mean, fair enough.
I may finally have found a place where I can be home. N-word.
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 N-word. N-word. N-word. N-word.
Alright, I'm sorry.
And it hasn't been said already. Not much.
Oh, wait.
What else can be said about this topic that hasn't been said already? Not much.
Okay, then what's the point of making the video? I mean, that's, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm glad that he admits it, but still. It's like, okay, if everybody else has, you know, made that criticism, I mean, you're doing the opposite of what you originally made the series Content Cop for in the first place, right? The whole point was to call out people that weren't being called out by other people, right? That's why you didn't call out Jake Paul. That's why, you know, you called out Keemstar, because no one had done that at the time. That's why you called out Leafy. That's why, I mean, again, I mean, you even said so later about that you felt bad about the Fine Bros one, because it's like, oh, well, everyone already shit on them, right? Because there wasn't anything of value that he could add, right?
Pretty much everyone said it already, but...
Okay, then what's the point?
But here's some clips of Tana saying that context isn't important.
Okay, but when you're reading it, even if you're just saying it, even if you're reading something that somebody else says, you're saying, I'm a white person and I think it's okay to say that word.
It doesn't...
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on the context, though, right? It's like the world is not black and white, you know? Well, I mean, I guess in this sense, I mean, well, in a literal sense, they're people that are like mixed race, but that's not what I meant, you know. There's gray area in that. Okay, first of all, what group of people? Okay, where is the cutoff point? All right, where is the cutoff point? Do you have to be more than 50% African American? Do you have to be, like, just darker? Is it about the percentage of melanin you have? If so, are Indian people allowed to say it? What about Asian people? What if you're 25% black and 75% white? Where is the cutoff? It's all arbitrary, and at the end of the day, there is no actual moral framework being used. All you can say is that it, you don't like it because you don't like, the way you. It's basically an argument based on feelings. There's nothing wrong with having feelings or feeling a certain way about a certain person using a particular word. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't make a moral argument or try to, claim that there is an issue with somebody's moral character because they said a word you don't particularly like, whereas if somebody else who looks slightly different said the same word, you wouldn't have a problem with it. And again, if there's no cutoff point, that should tell you something, right? And now, obviously, the position I'm giving here is counterintuitive to a lot of people. It was counterintuitive to me, right? But I do think that it is still the consistent position to take. Now, that doesn't mean that you should go around saying the N-word as a white person. That's not what I'm saying here. Or if you do it sparingly, right? Make it obvious what your intent is. However, that being said, there are still going to be social reasons not to say it. But you can't use social reasons to not say something as a moral argument. All Tana had to do here is say, wow, this iDubbbz guy is, like, really unfunny. Like, if your entire sense of humor revolves around saying the N-word, that's kind of cringe, bro, not gonna lie. That's all she had to say, and then she would have been right. She would have been in the right. That's all she had to do, right? But she couldn't do that, because she was not very intelligent in this situation, at least. I don't know. Maybe she's an absolute genius in other situations. I have no idea. But in this one, she definitely isn't.
Doesn't matter the context that you say it in.
It does.
It's still racist.
It
Yeah, okay.
doesn't matter the context you say it in, it's still racist. Listen up, teachers of America. If you've ever read aloud Huckleberry Finn to your students, you've engaged in an act of racism.
Yeah, well, not only that, but, like, if it doesn't matter the context, what about the context? Okay, is the color of your skin not some amount of context? Like, does that not give a little bit of context? I mean, that's why it's, usually more socially acceptable in the first place. It's like, okay, well, that if a black person says the N-word, it probably doesn't have anything to do with them being against black people existing or having any amount of hatred. Whereas if it's a white person, you don't know, right? That's the social reason, right? It's like, oh, well, shit. I don't know. They could be saying it as a funny word, or they could be saying it because they don't like black people very much. Who knows, right? I mean, obviously black people can be racist to other black people, right? But that's not how they would go about it, right? And again, it's not this objective, like, it's not this objective morality, or sorry, it's not objective, and there's no, moral basis to it. It's just well, this seems right, and this seems wrong socially. But that's all there is to it, right? But that's the context you would use to determine whether or not it's socially acceptable, right? Again, you can't use whether or not something is socially acceptable as a moral argument, right? The same way, okay, it might not be socially acceptable for me to go to a business meeting in my pajamas, right? But that's not immoral. You can't say that I'm a bad person for doing that, right? Even though it's not a smart thing to do, and it's not socially acceptable in that kind of environment, right? It's like, okay, but that doesn't make me a bad person. It just means I'm a stupid person, right? You sort of get what I'm saying? Like, it's like it doesn't mean that it's good to do. It just means, okay, there's no moral argument you can make here. I mean, I'd love to hear one if there is. That can't be used for other words, right? It's like,
the supporters call themselves N-word faggots. Like, that's what they call each other.
But Tana, it doesn't matter the context. It's still homophobic, right? It's like, I don't give a shit if she says the word faggot, right? I couldn't care less.
Faggots.
Whoa, Tana, you're gonna drop the F-bomb like that? Listen, Tana, it doesn't matter the context you use it in. It's still homophobic.
Well, goddamn. I guess I did learn too much from this guy.
Obviously, that's just a bit of hyperbole on my part, but I think it illustrates the point quite well that
I agree. He's applying a consistent standard. So even if he's consistently using the wrong standard, let's say, at least he's being consistent. Tana is not being consistent. So no matter what, he looks like he's in the right. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know.
We are very fucking stupid to hold the word nigger at this colossally high standard, whereas every other slur, that
I think that this point is probably one of the weaker ones. It's like, yeah, but different slurs, you know, they have, like, they have different levels of intensity, do they not? You know, like, I'm sorry, well, like, one of them is what does that say, towel head? Who the fuck is getting offended over the word towel head? Come on. What is another one of them, does it say gook? I don't even know what a gook is. What the yeah, like, come on. I think spick is a... Is that one is that a Mexican slur? I don't know. But the fact that I don't even know what group of people those slurs apply to means that, well, you know, maybe it's because, that, you know, maybe they don't necessarily hold as much weight or have the same amount of, I don't know, they don't have that same level of intensity, right? But, I mean, sure, you can argue, oh, well, if you just use the N-word as a joke, you know, it'll lose that. And I don't even disagree with that. It's like, okay, but use it tactically, okay? Don't be stupid about how you use it, and establish a moral framework that is sort of easy to understand, and make sure that you're able to make it very obvious that just make an obvious categorical distinction between when it is and isn't okay, right? You say context matters, and I agree with you, but you need to make it obvious as to what the context is for when it's okay, what the context is for when it's not okay, and what your intentions are and what they have to be in order for it to be okay, right? And explaining, hey, this, however, is too far, right?
that can be used in a comedic sense.
As well as explaining what type of environment, because the environment you're in is also part of the context. For instance, if you're in a Discord VC with a few close friends, that it's going to be a lot more acceptable to say the word than if you're, you know, doing a presentation at a public business meeting event thing. I don't know. You get what I mean, though. Again, context matters, and I agree with that. But Ian has failed to establish what that context looks like. He just sort of vaguely alludes to it. He's like, well, I didn't say it in, like, the mean-spirited way. It's like, okay, but can you draw a line somewhere? I don't care where you draw the line. Just draw it somewhere. That's, like, kind of intuitive, right? Like, I would say, like, for me personally, I draw the line at, okay, you know, is it obvious that you're just saying it as a joke and not to insult somebody? If it's not obvious that you're just saying the word as a joke or as part of a joke and not insulting someone, then there's a problem, right? That's where I draw the line, right? Because again, I do care about context, but iDubbbz doesn't, you know, explain any of this.
Or an editorial
sense. He doesn't even explain, oh, maybe there's a little bit of gray area where it's like, oh, I'm not sure. You know, I would say, okay, if there's don't enter that gray area in the first place is my stance on that, because it's like, okay, well then that can allow dog whistling to be a little bit easier, etc. Right? So okay, avoid the gray area. But if you're unambiguously saying it in a way that's not actually targeting a specific group of people or somebody for being a part of a specific group of people, then I think it's fair game, right? Which is obviously, you know, it's there's nuance to it, right? And I think that the problem that Ian has here is he's making these absolute statements, these black and white statements, right? Where, like, not as in, like, oh, in terms of black versus white people, but in terms of, oh, either all of it's okay or none of it's okay. Well, what about different levels of okayness depending on the context and the word itself, right? It's like, okay, the amount, like, the amount of meat, I guess, like, yeah, like, the amount of weight a word has, you know, is going to be different, right? Like, for instance, if somebody were to, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be based on the specific word. For instance, if someone were to call a black person, like, refer to them as a Negro in 2023, if they were to refer to them as that would probably be seen as more racist than somebody saying, than a white person, let's say, I don't know, saying, the N-word with a soft A in a rap song, right? So there is obvious context that needs to be accounted for if you're going to make arguments like this, right? Even for any individual word, right? However, you also have to account for the fact that, okay, yeah, there's going to be instances in which, okay, one word has more meaning than another. Like, they all have meaning, yeah. But again, making these absolute statements and having this dichotomous mindset of, okay, well, maybe there are some words that are a little bad, and there's some words that are, like, more bad, right? Now, how bad they are is up for debate, but, doesn't mean, just because they're all bad, let's say they're all bad. Let's make that presupposition, okay? They're all bad, alright. Well, that doesn't mean that they're the same level of bad. It's not a binary, okay? It's not a binary where every word is either very good or very bad, right? Like, maybe, there's some, area in between, right?
Sense, but not this one, because that one has history. Well, guess what?
Well, it's not just about whether or not it has history. Obviously, they all have history, but, like, it's about how much weight does it hold today. I don't care about historical context, because, again, words are just syllables, right? That's just a series of syllables to create sentences, right? But the way it's used, the reasons it's used, and the context it's used in is all important, and the messages behind what you're saying and what you're using that word for are also important. That's way more important than any historical context. And I feel like iDubbbz would have acknowledged this back then, yet at the same time, he seems to be ignoring that completely, and suddenly, historical context is important when talking about other slurs.
What, fucking retards? All the other ones have history too. Zipperhead? Yeah. Asian people.
How often do you hear people saying the word zipperhead and getting offended by it? Again, it's almost like different slurs hold different weight, right? They don't all have the same intensity, right? That's the number one flaw of this video, is he pretends like they're all words of the same intensity that are used exactly in the same way, right? It's kind of stupid, right? It's like, okay, but nobody in society prescribes a certain meaning to the word zipperhead anymore, right? Most people don't even know what that means, right? But the N-word, people do, prescribe a certain meaning to it, right? And even if you're not intending to send a certain message when you say the word, people will perceive it that way. And that is why you have to make it unambiguously, you have to unambiguously, say it in a way where it's obvious that, okay, well, this isn't about whether or not you are against a certain group of people. You're just saying it as an edgy joke, but you have to make it obvious that it's a part of an edgy joke. Or if you're quoting somebody or like reading something that somebody else said, I think that's fine. I think you should be able to read out loud something that somebody else said, because at that point everyone knows what your intentions are. So it's not like it's ambiguous at that point. But if it's ambiguous, then it might start being an issue, because people will take it the wrong way. And it is your fault for being ambiguous at that point, right? So you should probably do something to fix that.
People didn't get their fucking heads ran over in World War II. They weren't thrown into internment camps. But yeah, you can't say that one because it's got sort of...
Because, it has more intensity to it, right? Like, again, it's all gonna be arbitrary, right? No matter what, where we have the cutoff is going to be arbitrary, obviously. Now, I believe that there is nuance to most things, including this. And again, whether or not, you say the word is not the issue I would have or care about, right? It's like, okay, it's like, okay, a lot of people say things as a joke, right? But I care about the context, the way it's used, etc. It's a lot harder to use the word zipperhead and be taken seriously if you're using that as an insult, right? That's a lot more difficult, because most people don't even know what that word means. So it's like, okay, well then it loses its meaning because people don't know what it means, right? But, obviously some words don't lose their meaning as quickly over time, right? Because they were either used more for a longer period of time, or more, they were, whatever. You get the point, right?
Of a
It's guttural. Either all of them are okay or none of them are okay. But
again, this whole categorizing them into two categories, only two, is fucking stupid. Again, I agree with iDubbbz disavowing that specific statement, now that I think of it, because it's like, okay, well, obviously every word is going to be of a different intensity. Now, I will say that, okay, there is a time and a place where it is okay to say each of these words, but that context, that time and place is not very often, right? If he had said that, it's like, okay, well, I agree with that. There is a context in which you can say this, right? And it be fine to say, right? It's like, otherwise, it's like, okay, you don't want to cause harm in society, right? So even if I don't have a direct moral argument against saying any particular word, the reason I don't is because there's obviously going to be context in which it's not going to cause any harm. But what I do have a moral opposition to is deliberately doing something that you know causes harm, right? So for instance, you know, calling somebody the N-word, even though I might not be morally opposed to saying the N-word itself, I am morally opposed to the outcome being produced by that word being said in a certain way, right? At the end of the day, I am a consequentialist after all, for the most part. Obviously, there's nuance to it, right? And there are going to be exceptions to everything, right?
But if you try to come online and tell me that I can't say a particular word, but you say words that are just as offensive, in the famous words of Tana Mongeau,
kill yourself.
It's literally like the definition of desensitizing society.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. If the word loses its meaning, then it has less power. So Tana is also wrong. I mean, as dumb as iDubbbz was in that last segment, like, Tana isn't any better. They're both stupid. They're equally stupid, but for different reasons, right? Well, I don't think iDubbbz is stupid. iDubbbz is a smart guy, right? But, okay. He is being kind of an idiot here.
To the N-word and taking us a million steps back.
Tana, you are dumb. It is the exact opposite. This is a very important lesson in critical thinking. Have you or your friends ever said a word so frequently that it's lost a lot of the initial punch that it had?
Yeah. I'd say so, yeah.
And eventually it just lost all meaning entirely?
Yeah, but again, you are one individual person, and, you know, saying a word over and over again, is it going to mean it loses all of its meaning, you know, across the entire United States of America? It can lose meaning in your community. That's great. That's why I'm fine with, you know, any and all slurs being said in my Discord. As long as it's in a, you know, I'm using the word appropriate loosely here, but in like an appropriate context. You're not using it to, like, harm people. And the reason is, the point is to desensitize people so that if people are using it unironically, using these words for their intended purposes, it doesn't negatively affect people. It's like almost like an exposure therapy of some sort, right? It's like, okay, if you're going to be in this toxic debate space, you need to be prepared. So making jokes is a way of preparing for that, right? But that doesn't mean that I go around telling people, oh yeah, by the way, it's okay to, you know, say the N-word wherever and whenever you want. It's like, no, you can say it in my Discord server, because everyone in my Discord server knows that, oh, you're just saying it as a funny word. But outside of my Discord server, people don't know that. So it doesn't have the same, you know, lack of meaning that it has in my Discord server, right? So, again, that is me accounting for context in a way that iDubbbz should, but I don't know if he chooses not to or whatever, but he could have done a better job articulating this, right? It's like, why am I more articulate than this guy? Come on.
You should say yes, because it happens all the time. I remember initially hearing the word cunt and how awful that sounded, but I've used it so frequently that it means fucking nothing to me now.
Yeah, but I don't think that everyone in society is just going to start saying the N-word and then it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because who is... realistically, what person, like, how many people are gonna go around saying the N-word in public or wherever? It's like, okay, well, that's never gonna happen, because people are like, well, I don't want to experience negative repercussions for that. Is that really a hill I want to die on? Fuck no. And that's why I never did that. It's like, okay, so, you know, it's like, it's something that I might say sparingly, but again, context matters, right? And, you know, I'm only going to use it tactically, right? I'm going to use it if there's a good reason for me to, right?
Cunt. Cunt. Tech cunt. Tech cunt here. Okay, cunt. So all of you people out there who hold these words at such high esteem, you are giving it the power that you so desperately want it to not have.
I do agree with that aspect, right? I do agree with what he just said there. Because, yeah, the N-word, the F-slur, you name it, none of those words have any power in my Discord server. Because everyone knows, oh, those are just funny words. Anyone who uses them for their intended purpose is a moron, and we make fun of them, right? That's how it works, right? But the world doesn't operate based on how my Discord server operates, which, I mean, you know, it's like there's not much I can do about that, right? But so I'm not gonna like go out in public and be like, yo, by the way, you should start saying the N-word for no reason. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe don't do that because you'll look fucking stupid, right? That's why there's a time and a place, right? But to acknowledge that there is a time and a place is also important. Because otherwise people are going to be like, oh, well, what about this? And they're going to poke holes in your argument. Because at the end of the day, being dichotomous like that is, well, fucking stupid. And people know it's stupid. Or some people do, intuitively, right? I intuitively know it's stupid. And that's why I think they're both in the wrong here, right?
Another point that people like Tana seem to miss is that you can critique people's use of the word nigger.
Yes, you can.
You can even critique my going to your show and doing it in that sense. You can say, well, that wasn't even funny, because it really wasn't. I replaced say cheese with say nigger. How funny is that? Not really funny, but what is funny is your reaction to it.
I mean, okay, I guess, I mean, sure, he might be baiting her into reacting a certain way. But, like, again, it's like, okay, well, you can't know for sure what her reaction is going to be, right? I mean, you can predict it, but at the end of the day, it's like you're the one sort of provoking this shit at that point. You're the one escalating it at the end of the day, you know? It's like if you rely on somebody's reaction to what you said as a justification for what you have said, then you're probably failing as a content creator to an extent, right? It's like, okay, well, if your only justification is their reaction, and what you said doesn't stand on its own, well, then there might be a little bit of an issue there. Maybe you shouldn't say that, right? It's like, okay, well, if that's a cringy thing to say, maybe, I mean, fair enough, whatever. I don't care that much, but...
So yes, you're allowed to be critical of someone's use of the word. If you think it's not funny or you think it's cringy, leave in the comments. When you...
yeah, I would say, yeah, it is kind of cringy and unfunny. I don't disagree with that.
Said the word nigger, my dick retracted inside of my body. And if you're a very observant person, you might notice a video from a year ago where I actually critique the use of the word when I'm doing a bad unboxing.
Yes, because I'm sure everyone has seen that. Yeah, because everyone is as terminally online as I am and knows your content really well. That just as well as you do, right? Yeah. You know, they spend just as much time watching your content as you do creating it, obviously. I think that might be why his perception is kind of fucked. Because it's obviously he's going to remember his own content more than anybody else does, because... You know, not only does he probably rewatch his own content the same way I would, especially if he's a perfectionist, but he's the one creating it, so he's going to remember the process of creating it, right? And while he's creating it, he knows what his intentions are, but that doesn't mean that translates to everyone else knowing what his intentions are, right? I think that was one of the fundamental flaws of this.
The whole joke here is the nigger word. Let's laugh out loud in the comments, you guys. It's incredible.
Yeah, and this is an example of Ian actually doing something that's good. In this clip, this is a good clip. I would actually be happy if he continued to do that, right? That is a good context. Because here he is reading it out loud, right? So he is technically saying the word, right? But what he's doing here is he's showing, okay, he's not offended by the word, he's not scared of the word irrationally or whatever. He's not afraid to say it. But at the same time, you know, it's like, oh... Well, you're kind of a dumbass for saying this. It's like he's mocking its usage, right? I would argue that's a good thing. It's rhetorically effective as well, right? And this is what I mean when I say, okay, you know, it is a matter of what the context is, right? If you're making fun of somebody else for saying it in a certain way, you know, you saying it ironically is different, inherently, right?
Incredible how much more intelligent you would have looked if during the event where I came and said, say nigger, if you just said, wow, you're a very uncomfortable person and you're not very funny.
Yeah, well, the fact that, again, you have to rely on her reaction as a justification for something you did before her reaction, that's a problem, Ian. That's not a good thing. And again, this is a criticism that also applies to you with the Froggy Fresh situation. You used how Froggy Fresh acted after he was banned. You know, after you already banned him. And you can claim, oh, well, that was, he's just being predictable. It's like, yeah, but you didn't give him a chance, right? It's like, okay. You know, like, what if he didn't do that? You know, it may have been obvious to you, but it's not obvious to everyone else. And at the end of the day, it's like you're using that as a justification for what you did before that happened, right? It's like, okay, you know, you can make predictions all you want. That doesn't mean you're 100% accurate, right? In both cases, he's in the wrong, right?
What a pathetic joke. You would have just destroyed me.
Yes, that probably means that if you know, if it doesn't stand on its own and it's that easy to destroy you, maybe don't say it, right? Maybe be a little bit more creative.
But you couldn't do that because you're the most predictable human being on the planet.
Well, obviously that's easy for you to say now. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's like, oh, well, it turned out to happen the way you wanted it to. Oh, yeah, you're predictable. You did the thing that I hoped you would. But it's like, okay, but you didn't actually know what was going to happen beforehand. You can make guesses. You can make your best educated guess. But you don't know how somebody like that, like Tana, is going to react to an event like that happening in real life. You have no idea, right? She could have handled it maturely. You know, maybe she just, you know, acts immature in her videos and on live streams, but like in person, she's just like, whatever, I don't give a shit. You don't know. It's like, okay. She could have just froze and did nothing. She could have been like, she could have literally just said nothing, and then Ian would still look like an asshole. The fact that Tana has to actively do something, you know, and respond a certain way for Ian to not look fucking stupid is a problem. That is one of the main fundamental flaws of this video. And I think that Ian knows that now. Now, does that mean that this entire video is complete shit? No. It's still a decent video. It was well made. He made some good points, but I'm trying to demonstrate here that it's not like his logic is impeccable. It's not like, you know, oh, it's you know, that these were the golden days that are perfect, and he never ever, you know, said something stupid that's easy to refute. It's like, okay, you know, it might be easy to say that now because you're looking at his new content and not his old content, but if you actually watch his old content, it's not perfect either, right? It's like, oh, well, it's pretty good. You know, maybe this one was just okay, right? It's like, okay, there's some good, there's some bad in this one, right?
Oh my fucking god. Today's the Tana Mongeau concert. Oh my god, today's the
This is over a tweet, by the way.
Tana Mongeau concert. I'm gonna be late.
Mojo, top 10, come watch Mojo!
I will say I do love his energy in this, but it's probably only because I'm also a spite-driven person sometimes, so it's relatable. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not entertaining. It is entertaining. It's funny, but that doesn't mean it's morally good.
Do you guys have hoodies at all?
No, we have what's on the table. Mom's
Okay. Can I get one of these in large?
$35.
Wow, what a bargain.
This is a bit large for me.
Want to know what else is a bit large for you? Okay, I'm sorry.
Alright, let's get in line. I don't know who that is, but I'm excited.
He's angry. Snake.
Tana Mongeau concert.
Oh wait, that was an accident. Oops.
More tolerant of others.
To subscribers, I would be.
All right,
I
here we
didn't
go.
make videos for
Sorry.
my videos to be a place and a space of negativity. If iDubbbz broke.
See, that's the thing, is if she's mentally ill and she's having mental breakdowns online, yeah, you might want to not make the video. on her. It's like, okay. Yeah, I can see what he means when he was like, yeah, I wasn't very empathetic. It's like, okay, yeah, this might be a shitty person, but is she shitty intrinsically, or is she just mentally ill? And let's be real, she's just mentally ill. It's pretty obvious at this point.
Broke both of his legs and
Like, based on this I don't know if she still is. I have known nothing about her today, but...
lost all of his subscribers. I would be genuinely happy.
The entire comment section is just
like, she's having a mental breakdown. Like, why would you include this? This doesn't make you look good.
nothing but fucking hate.
Like, even the first time I watched this, it's like, oh shit, I feel bad for her. Like, I didn't want to, but I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I never liked this part of the video where she was crying. Now, that was one of the only parts I didn't like or thought, that's questionable. You know, the first or second time I saw the video. But it's like, okay. You know. The fact that even back then, where I wasn't really being super critical of the dude, it's like, okay. Kinda gave me weird vibes. I didn't like that.
For being a person who's constantly preaching about being more tolerant of others and spreading positivity and spreading love to other people, you sure are one hateful bitch.
Oh no. Nope, he's doing it. He's doing the tolerance paradox. Now, I'm not saying that iDubbbz was you know, intolerant of others, right? That's not what I'm trying to say here. I think that he was never intolerant. However, Tana obviously perceived him that way. She genuinely believes that he holds racist beliefs, and that this is like his way of dog whistling or some shit, right? She genuinely saw it that way, right? She saw his usage of the N-word as like, okay, here he is, you know, putting his intolerance on display. Well, obviously, you can't tolerate intolerance, or tolerance can't exist in the first place. That's what Ian fails to address here, right? This is the other issue. Okay, there are two fundamental issues with Content Cop. The first one is one I already explained. Okay, yeah, you're not establishing your own moral framework. So you only have half of the equation. But you also don't include very much nuance. It's very one-sided, which is fine. But it's like, okay, you know, shit on somebody all you want, but at least, you know, give nuance. You know, give credit where credit is due, right? Like, even if you want to shit on them for the whole video, you should still acknowledge when they do something right. You know, like, I don't know. Is that too much to ask for back then? I have no idea.
And I don't want to make videos. I'm not just going to continue to make videos and fight for it. All of you turning on me breaks my heart. And
I know it's very hard to listen to all the logic with all the tears going on, but just...
See, okay, yeah, that part made me uncomfortable. It's like, okay, yeah, don't just ignore her emotions. They don't matter, right? That's what that comes across as. And I can understand why, if you're pissed at somebody and they were being shitty to you, why you would feel that way. But again, it's like, okay, you know, you're already making a content cop on the fucker. All right, you don't need to go that far, right? It's like, okay, like, you're not criticizing her for having a mental breakdown. So why even include that in the video as if it's like a bad thing? That's fucking stupid, right? That's probably one of the least bad things she did in this situation, was crying, right? It's like, oh, well, here she is being emotional. Heaven forbid. It's like, okay, yeah, let me include that as if that, like, deducts points from her. Yeah, that's a good looky. Oh man, yeah, some of this didn't age well. Maybe I misremember some shit.
Tune out the crying for a moment and realize that she's a complete hypocrite by...
Well, wait, hold... She's a complete hypocrite. I can't even understand half the shit she said. She's just crying. And even if she contradicts herself while she's crying, it's like, you really think she's gonna be saying, like, she's gonna be focusing on the logistics of the situation while she's having a mental fucking breakdown. Come on. Like, Ian can't be that stupid. He's just, okay. Apparently he was kind of at the time. Okay.
Complain.
I kind of see where he's coming from now today, you know, disavowing this specific video. I can see why he would apologize.
About all the hate in the comments, and then on her live stream, fuck this cunt. I hope he breaks both of his legs and loses.
But that's her. That's her being mad after getting a bunch of shit, right? Because if something that iDubbbz or his fan base is doing fucks with their mental health, yeah, she's probably gonna have some level of resentment. That doesn't mean that she was justified in saying that. But you can't just leave that out as some sort, like, as if that's not important context. You know, for somebody who seems to care so much about context, Ian, you sure do fail to provide any fucking context in these types of situations.
All subscribers. But all this hate in the comments, it's okay when I'm hating, but when other people are hating me, strictly off limits, guys.
Wait, but if somebody is hating you first, then you can hate them back, which I guess Ian was doing. It's like, okay, but his response was, you know, not proportionate, right? And you know, I feel like if it's not proportionate, it's like, okay, she might have instigated this level of hatred, but you're escalating it up to here. So to compare it and be like, oh, that's equivalent is kind of dishonest, right? It's like, okay, yeah, okay, either all of it's okay or none of it's okay. Okay, sure.
Guys.
And I do everything I can to spread the message of being against racism. What more?
I don't know. I mean, Tana is kind of stupid, but, like, she has good intent, and it seems like Ian doesn't give her any sort of charitability here, right? He doesn't acknowledge, oh, she's young and kind of dumb. He's just like, oh yeah, she's completely malicious and genuinely wants the worst for me and wasn't just saying that in the heat of the moment. That's not a possibility.
What can I do?
Now, I do think that talking about her, you know, embellishing her stories and kind of being a dishonest person, I think that those are perfectly fine things to criticize. I would still criticize those things today. And those parts of the content cop, I agree with, right? I don't agree with, you know, criticizing her for having a mental breakdown where she's literally crying on stream. That's fucking stupid. Like, this doesn't serve any utility. It doesn't even make your points look any stronger. It doesn't give any context that's necessary. It just makes you look kind of like a sack of shit, right? It's like, okay, you just look kind of cunty.
Ooh.
Spread the message of being against racism. I'm against racism. It sounds like it was said by a 5-year-old. I'm also gonna spread the message of being against rape and being against murder.
I mean, well, yeah, under certain context, actually, yes, sometimes people might do that. Like, for instance, if let's say somebody is setting up a women's shelter, right? It's like, oh, yeah, we're setting this up because we're against domestic abuse and we're against rape. It's like, yeah, is that being said by a 5-year-old? No. So again, wow, these points are fucking awful. Wow.
It's bad. This is the epitome of being a basic bitch.
I agree that she's a basic bitch. That is correct.
Myself before I started YouTube that I was going to be different and that I wasn't going to be like every other YouTuber and that I
that's complete cringe still.
wasn't going to be the sellout average blonde bimbo on YouTube.
Which is exactly what she became, let's be real. Everyone who's like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally unique and different." And then, like, I'm not like this average, whatever the fuck. But then they can't explain how they're different. It's like, okay, yeah, you're a basic bitch, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't pretend to be above it, right? It's like, I mean, most people, men and women alike, are basic bitches, right? It's like, oh, yeah, you do this thing to fit into society, right? You do the same thing that other people do around you. Yeah, that might be basic, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that type of lifestyle. But don't pretend like you're above it. Especially if that's the type of lifestyle you live, right? It's like, oh, it's not even just the lifestyle, but the way you act, the way you express yourself, the way you present yourself and whatnot, right?
YouTube, I was
even just the way you dress, really, as well.
Gonna be someone different.
I just want to give up. Any other things you're against there, Einstein? Eating your own shit. I think eating your own shit is bad.
I disagree. Eating your own shit is great.
What the fuck I did to iDubbbz to deserve any of this?
I do want to know, okay, is this clip that we're watching right now where she's crying first, or is the next clip that we're gonna see first?
Broke both of his legs and lost all of his subscribers.
I want to know what the order of events is here. If you're gonna make a video like this, you should plaster dates all over it so that people understand what the order of events is. You'll make it a little bit more transparent. It's like people get more information. or is it an order that isn't an order that makes iDubbbz look good, right? I don't know.
I'd be genuinely happy.
I don't know what I did to this human being.
Broke both of his legs.
I don't understand what I did to deserve this.
Broke both of his.
I mean, if the crying clip is before I hope you break your legs clip, then this entire point is fucking stupid. So I mean, I hope that she was mad and was like, oh yeah, I hope he broke both of his legs first. I don't know who to give the benefit of the doubt here. I don't know whose argument points have been worse. I don't know. I mean, Tana hasn't even really said any arguments. So I guess Ian has, you know, by default said more stupid things. Just because he's said more things of substance. But that substance isn't good, right?
His legs and lost all of his subscribers. I would be genuinely happy. Like, he's a terrible person.
I wouldn't label Tana a racist.
You fucking nigger!
No, not because she's a crusader for Black Lives Matter.
I mean, honestly, would I make my Twitter name Black Lives Matter for months when everyone was telling me to change it if I wasn't such a giant fucking advocate for Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like she's virtue signaling. Kinda cringe, not gonna lie. Either way, I don't give a shit. It's not worth it. It's not even worth including. I couldn't care less.
I wouldn't deem her racist because I don't know what's in here or what's in here. But
what you do know is what her actions are, right? You can still judge her behaviors, and sometimes you can make inferences about her intent. I mean, clearly, you sort of want people to know what your intentions are without you outright saying what your intent is. And people should be able to read you perfectly, even though you don't tell anyone shit about yourself. But oh, as soon as somebody else, you know, is somebody that you're making a content cop on, suddenly you have no idea what her intentions could possibly be. Now, if you want to say, oh, well, yeah, you're probably just virtue signaling, fine. Fine, I don't disagree with that. She probably is virtue signaling, right? I'm guessing she's taking something she kind of believes in or is indifferent to and sort of hyper-fixating on it so she can, you know, look good in front of her audience. That wouldn't surprise me. That's probably what she's doing here. But she would need to start at a neutral position of not giving a shit if nothing else, right? It's like, okay, either she's neutral and doesn't care, or she's in favor of Black Lives Matter. Both of those are valid positions. She's definitely not racist, right? Or she wouldn't, you know, there's no reason why she would even bring it up at that point. She would just not talk about it, right? That would be the smart business move.
the fascinating part about all of this is that she won't offer me or any of you guys.
Now maybe she is overcorrecting because she's guilty about her saying it as an insult in the past, and she feels bad about it, right? And that's been eating away at her, right? And she needs to, like, tell people to kill themselves for saying it, right? So that she can feel morally superior, to make up for all the times she used it, like, as an insult, right? That wouldn't surprise me. I don't know why Ian hasn't given that level of analysis in this. I thought he spent, like, a month or more on... Oh, maybe he spent less time on this one, because it's like, oh, well, everyone's already covering it and whatnot.
The same level of respect.
It's like, no one fucking cares that he's a racist, and it sucks so bad. Being a fucking racist, you're fucking racist, and that's not fucking cool.
I mean, she probably genuinely thinks that, but again, she's also ignoring the context of when he actually says it, ignoring nuance. It's like, this is like it's like the battle of retards. Like, I don't even know whose arguments are worse. I mean, Tana is, like, stupider, but, like, also, Ian's arguments are also just as fucking awful, so it's hard to say, you know?
We're gonna be, like, the last ones to see Tana, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. And we're gonna be like that little cherry on top, so that little whip.
Is that the same hat? Is that the same hat he was wearing in the OnlyFans video? The one that he got a lot of shit for? Where he, the one about sex workers? I think it is. I think it's the same hat. Isn't that just poetic?
Green fluff frosting. Is it worth it?
I think it is. I think it is. That's actually quite poetic, I must say.
Hell yeah, it's worth it.
The two sides of iDubbbz.
This girl's gonna take a picture because this camera's like for the future.
Say nigger.
walks up to me and he kind of like.
And then this is the part where Tana is unambiguously in the wrong. Not where Ian is obviously not actually, not in like the clip that was just shown. Obviously, Ian was in the wrong there, but after the fact, Tana being intellectually dishonest is a problem. You know, lying about what happened is kind of fucking stupid. I don't know why she felt the need to do that. She could have just been like, again, Ian even explained this, and any reasonable person would agree that, oh, all you have to do in that situation is be like, what? Why are you doing that? That's, like, weird. Was that supposed to be funny? That's all she had to say is, was that supposed to be, like, a joke or something? Wow. You're really embarrassing yourself in public, huh? Like, okay, alright, you're kicked out, lol. That's all she had to do.
Like, locks his arm around me.
She didn't even have to talk about it. Just, oh, kick him out. Be like, oh, that was cringe. That's all she has to say. Make fun of him for it, if you want. I don't care. Just don't lie about it.
Like, around my neck like this, and it wasn't.
Yeah, her neck all the way down there. See, this is what I mean, where it's like, okay, I don't even know if it's warranted or not for this video to be made. I mean, they're both making god-awful points, but also Tana is a liar at the end of the day. At least back then. Now, why she's lying, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Tana's, like, a great person or anything. But, I mean, again, I don't know. It's hard to say what her intentions are.
It wasn't like it was like a chokehold or anything. It was very like firm and like tight. Like I couldn't have really gotten it out, if that makes sense. I'll explain that in a second. And so the guy looks at me and he wraps his arm around me and he looks in the camera and he goes, "Say."
I feel like even if she recorded this like weeks after it happened, I feel like it's impossible to misremember it this much. I think you would remember specifically if you were to actually wrap his arm around your neck, because that's different, right? He's not putting you in a chokehold. You would remember if that happened, but obviously it didn't happen.
And it puts his thumbs up and then like blank.
That's also a weird detail to get wrong. What thumbs up? Wait, when, where, what? That's such an odd and oddly specific detail to make up. I don't understand why you would do that. It just makes you look stupid in the content cop, and it gives Ian a reason to be right.
And he says the N-word, like hard R, N-word. Like,
that part is correct. He did in fact say the N-word, hard R.
Like say N-word, like hard R, like smiling, loud as fuck, like.
Well, yes, he was loud. Okay, that is correct, and he was smiling.
Yells it and like looks at me and looks at me in the camera, like
say nigger.
Please imagine like say blank, like yelling, thumbs up, arm locked around me.
I don't know. I mean, the word locked. Not a fan of that. Her usage of the word locked around me. But okay, I'll give her a pass.
Hey, nigger.
And I literally I don't even know how to describe this moment to you guys. I never understood how people would feel in moments like that where you were scared for so many reasons.
I don't even know how this is allowed by YouTube TOS. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there was footage that I don't know.
Other people's lives, so then I kind of try to break free.
I feel like I'm already pushing it by showing this. I mean, to be fair, the video is still up, but I mean, okay.
You know what I mean,
well, I mean, it's unlisted, but it's it was YouTube never took action against it, so I don't know.
Get his arm away from me, and so the first time I tried to, he didn't let go, and that's what.
Yeah, that's just a straight up lie. I don't know why she needs to lie about shit. She could have won this feud by just being honest. She could have just been like, wow, that's cringe. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you obsessed with me? Literal fan behavior. You spent all this time and money so that you could say the N-word to me in person? Wow. You're kind of a loser, man. Why would you do that? Really? What? I don't get why you did that, guys. Smash like and subscribe for more story time. That's all she had to say. And then boom, she wins. iDubbbz loses. He can't look good in this situation if she does that.
My brain instincts okay, does he have a gun? Does he have a knife? Whatever. This was very quick. It wasn't he held me in for much longer.
If she just didn't even respond to it or react at all, iDubbbz would have looked bad. She has to actively make the situation bad for herself. And that's the only reason iDubbbz doesn't look that bad.
And then I pull away harder and finally pull away. That's where my brain is like, do I run? Do I scream? Do I cry? Do I hide? Do I cuss him out? Do I ask him what's wrong? Like,
Yeah, this is why I think the content cop was warranted, once again, but it should have been made differently.
I don't know what to do, you know? And he's just...
Well, it seems like you did know what to do, in that you walked away. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. It didn't take you that long. But then to go on and lie about it, I guess you don't know what to do, because that's not a smart thing to do. It just makes you look bad. Like, all you have to do to not look bad is just don't lie about shit that's easily refutable. I don't know how she doesn't get this. You don't have to be intellectually dishonest to make Ian look bad here. Literally just act like a normal fucking person, right? That's it. That's all you have to do.
Looking at me like, with the creepiest, most terrible...
I mean, yeah, that probably was kind of uncomfortable. I don't think his smile is terrifying, but like, you know... In the moment, yeah, that could have been terrifying. That could be like, oh, that's like really weird. Why is he looking at me in the camera like that? Oh, that's uncomfortable. That's fair enough, I guess.
Terrifying smile.
Exaggerator, a storytime Pokemon, also known as the physical embodiment of hypocrisy.
True. That is probably one of the main reasons that Tana was in the wrong. 'Cause she's just such a fucking hypocrite. It's like all you had to do is not lie and not contradict yourself. That's it. And then you win. And then Ian looks fucking stupid. It's not like this was like some genius scheme of his. It's like, oh, wouldn't it like I know I was giving credit to iDubbbz for being smart earlier, right? Being like, okay, clearly, he assumed, he was being charitable, assumed that everyone would get the message of his content, but this is one of the few instances in which, okay, you're just being spiteful, right? That's the reason you're making this, which is fine, but don't then, you know, do it in a way that's fucking stupid, right? Just be spiteful in a way that's not easy to use against you, like, like, she could have, I don't know. If it was anyone other than Tana, he would have looked dumb. And maybe he knew that, but still.
Each face tells a different story.
He fucked me with a toothbrush!
Oh, I forgot about that meme. The fucking toothbrush meme. Hell yeah.
I'd like you to battle these executor for me.
In this section of the video, I want to address the exaggerations and small details that she embellishes just to make the story more interesting.
And I look at him and I'm like, no, and like we had to kick him out. He was like trying to fight people and it was really a sketchy situation, to be honest with you. I was like,
yeah, that's like another weird thing to lie about. Like, why would she do this to herself? That's like the most unintelligent thing imaginable. Fucking hell, when I was 12, I would have handled a situation like this better than she did. And she was like, what? She was like 19 back then. I'm currently 19. And I would probably make fun of another 19-year-old a little bit. Just a little bit, if they were to be this stupid and dishonest. It's like, okay, you're 19. You know, you're a public figure and you're 19 years old. You're a grown adult. You should be able to handle situations like these without lying. You don't have to lie. If you're in the right, you're in the right. And if you know you're in the right, then you know that you can just be honest and you will appear to be in the right. You don't have to lie. Otherwise, it's like, oh, well, if you're lying, then clearly, according to the truth, you're wrong, right? It's like, well, if you're lying, then obviously you're not trustworthy. You must see yourself as in the wrong, right? It's like, oh, well, you know, if you need to lie about it, then clearly you don't want people to know the truth, because the truth might make you look bad. I don't know.
trying to fight people, and he was like trying to fight people.
Uh-oh, I can't hear anything. What the hell? Let's read chat. That's loud AF, sorry. Am I the only one back? No, you're not. Hello, everybody. Hello there, I'm back. General Kenobi, you are a bold one. This is where the fun begins. True. Is iDubbbz's video loud? Okay. We're on any % speedrun of getting cancelled. True.
We're getting kicked out apparently. I just wanted I'm VIP though.
Okay, well I can't hear it. That's weird. What's going on?
Situation, to be honest with you.
What the hell? Alright, hold on. I need to fix the audio. Oh boy, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Okay, properties. Okay. Test audio. I can't hear shit. What the fuck? Okay. Well, that sucks. Okay. Time to restart voice meter. So excited. I love when voice meter misbehaves. Or some shit. Actually. Wait. Yeah, I'll just... Oh, alright, yeah, okay, we're back. We're back. I don't know, voice meter's been fucking retarded lately. I don't know why. It just has been. It's kind of annoying. Alright, we're gonna...
In this section of the video, I want to address the exaggerations and small details that she embellishes just to make the story more interesting.
So excited.
And I look at him and I'm like, no, and like we had to kick him out. He was like trying to fight people, and it was really a sketchy situation, to be honest with you. He was like trying to fight people, and
We're getting kicked out apparently. I just wanted I'm VIP though.
Apparently that's him trying to fight people. Again, like Tana could have easily won in this situation. She dug herself a grave.
I'm VIP!
That was just a bit of editing. No punches were actually thrown. Believe it or not, I wasn't there to fight 12-year-olds.
I mean, he can box now, so... Damn, he should have trained for a boxing match before that.
Or your security detail. If you can't tell, I'm not the strongest, most ripped dude on the planet. Wasn't really interested in fighting, just interested...
Well, I mean, he is interested in fighting, just not in this video.
In the little bit of tomfoolery with you. Another thing that Tana got wrong that really infuriates me is she said I gave a thumbs up. I'm not a fucking animal, Tana. I wouldn't give a thumbs up after saying a racial slur.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Is there like meaning behind a thumbs up? I don't know about that, if there is. Or is that like a... I don't know. It's like a... Does that like make it worse or something? I'm confused. I don't remember that, but okay.
And it puts his thumbs up, like yelling.
I mean, yeah, she did lie about it, so maybe that's why? I don't know.
Thumbs up.
Here's a few more details that she...
Why? Wait, what? Why? What does it mean to put your thumbs up and say a racial slur? I genuinely do not know what that means. What is the significance of the thumbs up? Or is he just saying that as like a joke? Because it's not significant.
She just got wrong, just for no fucking reason at all. Like, you can easily research any of this shit.
Bought a $200 ticket to my meet and greet at my show.
Like, he's 30. He's a 30-year-old man. He knows what the word means.
And his 5 fucking million subscribers are all just fine.
I know all this Tana shit is like a week old at this point, and to be fair, I was planning on being able to work
Okay, so we only had like a week. Alright. Fair enough.
On it for a lot longer, but hopefully you guys were able to get some new insight on the situation, or at least have a couple laughs. To all the preteen girls who...
Alright, well, that was stupid. Alright. Either way. Certified Hood Classic, but not as good as I remember. Isn't that unfortunate? Anyways, wow. Alright, but, however, that's the content cop that he seems to regret the most. What I want to know is, well, what about his content cops that were more warranted? What about those ones? Like, for example, the Keemstar content cop, or the Leafy one. Well, the Leafy one was removed by YouTube, so we can't watch the Leafy one. But what we can watch still is the Keemstar one. And that's what we're going to be doing. I actually think yeah. Alright. So excited. Let's see what the Keemstar content cop is like, alright? Alright, hold on. Okay.
Alpha Bravo Niner.
The skit is good, but I'm not interested in the skit. I'm interested in the critiques, right?
Hey everybody, welcome back to another legit rat review. On today's episode, we're going to check out a channel that's best known for the phrase, nigger! Another gem includes, hey, everyone type Alex is a stupid nigger in chat. Now, I'm not going to be using any of these classic lines as argument points in this video. Instead, I'm going to use them for comedic relief. There are plenty of other things.
Right off the bat, it seems like Ian isn't doing this out of, like, spite. The same way he was in the Tana content cop. He seems more, like, this seems more planned and well thought out, like, right off the bat. Right? It doesn't seem like, oh, this is a last-minute thing that I'm doing in, like, a week. Because, you know, oh, I'm mad at this person or whatever. This seems like okay, yeah, I've thought this through, and this is the best I've got type of thing, right?
To insult the rat for. He's manipulative, cunty, hypocritical, makes horrible content, extremely unfunny.
All of these things were true. Some of them are probably still true, but he has, like, matured, I guess. I don't have an issue with Keemstar anymore, but back in the day, he was an ass.
Cringy. It's kind of like...
Like, he did genuinely deserve the content comp back in the day.
Picking on Tommy NC, really. It's kind of like picking on an autistic kid. Wouldn't you agree, Keemstar?
The reason why the autistic kid... Tell the autistic kid that I'm bullying him. You told an autistic dude. You took advantage of an autistic kid. You took advantage of an autistic kid, and you took advantage of an autistic kid.
I think he might have taken advantage of the autistic kid. I don't know. That's just the impression I'm getting.
I've never said anything about the autistic kid. About the autistic kid at all!
Alright, this is dog shit editing on Ian's part. I get that he's trying to make a point. Oh, yeah, he's talking about it over and over again. But especially for it being towards the beginning of the video, although I guess the first few minutes were like the skit or whatever. But still, you could have left it at, like, whatever, 5. You don't need to include 10 instances where he's saying it.
I looked at all the backlash that Leafy got for making fun of Tommy NC. I don't want any part of that. So I'm not making fun of an autistic kid. I'm instead making fun of a retarded adult. I'm so excited. If you really...
So far, it doesn't seem like he's done anything wrong. But apparently he has, because he apologized for it, so...
If you want the epitome of sensitivity, you gotta look toward Keemstar's Twitter videos, because this dude is the most sensitive man on the planet.
Notice how these criticisms are like, he's like, it's structured. It's structured in a way that the Tana content comp was all over the place. It looks like it was rushed. It wasn't, there wasn't much time spent on it. You know, most of the time that was spent on it was, I guess, going to TanaCon. That probably took the longest. Longer than scripting or editing, right? I mean, frankly, you know, if you're gonna... I don't know.
Take, for example, this individual. He barely criticized Keemstar. In fact, he was sucking Keemstar's dick for half the time.
He isn't the nicest guy on the internet, but he is the most realist, you know, he'll tell you how it is, whether you like that or not.
The only criticism was, I think Keemstar should put a disclaimer in his videos.
What I think Keem should have done in that video is gave some kind of disclaimer.
And what did Keemstar do upon hearing this awful criticism?
That dude is a fake piece of shit.
And right off the bat, first criticism, valid. I don't know why he would retract this, as if he did something wrong. It's like, no, Keem was fucking stupid for doing this. And other content creators were happy that you made the video in the first place, because back then he used to fuck a lot of people over. Like, he was a bad person. He needed to be called out. He needed to be given this reality check. I don't even think he cared if you apologized or not. I don't think he's seeing your apology and being like, oh, thank God that iDubbbz guy finally apologized. You know, that shit was really in the back of my mind, eating away at me. I think, you know, even Keemstar would acknowledge that most of the criticism in this video was valid back in the day. I don't even think he would deny that. He'd have been like, yeah, that was a good video, man. Yeah, you were right about most things. Like, so why, okay.
Learn it. You're a fake piece of shit, and if you fucking swing at me, I'm gonna swing much harder back. Come at me, I'm gonna fucking smack you. Fuck Pyro, you fucking loser.
Oh my God, the world's gonna end. Someone made a video about me. Oh God. Even though I have 1,000 videos on the internet of me saying nigger,
That's an example of context in which saying that word is fine, right? It's like, okay, he's not saying it to insult somebody. Well, he's saying it to insult Keemstar, and he's not using the word itself to insult Keemstar. He's quoting Keemstar to make fun of him. So that's an example of, okay, here's context where it's fine, right? And I feel like Ian understood this, but he didn't understand how to articulate when it is and isn't okay, because he couldn't draw a fine line. He just knew when it was okay on a case-by-case basis, but there was no definitive way for him to draw a very clear line, and I think that might have been one of the issues he had. Even though it's obvious for him on a case-by-case basis, it's not going to be for everybody who isn't him.
I'm gonna cry over this video. Oh, Keemstar, oh, that dude's a savage. Don't get on his radar, dude. You're gonna be fucked. Keemstar, you are an absolute pussy. In every way imaginable. He's a very rash decision maker.
Rash decision maker? Who does that remind me of? It reminds me of somebody who, made the rash decision of, kicking Froggy Fresh from Creator Clash, which obviously only had negative outcomes, okay? It just led to people harassing Ian, and more importantly to him, I'm sure, his wife. I don't think they would have received that level of harassment had he not kicked Froggy from the event. All he had to do was not invite him to Creator Clash 3, and you would have been fine, right? I don't see why that would have been such a big deal, right? But you made it a big deal by kicking him, right? It caused unnecessary drama. So clearly that was a decision that was very rash and, well, spontaneous, based on your emotions, not very logical, right?
And he'll just say something before he even thinks about it. He has no filter, he'll just do it. And this is...
I mean, in this instance, that he's not wrong, but, like, he used to have no filter back then as well, so that is a dumb thing for him to say, but...
This resulted in countless examples of him saying really regrettable shit. Total Biscuit, can't wait to report on your death.
Can't wait to report your death!
This Twitch streamer is a pedophile. So this leads to...
Obviously, the things that Keemstar said back in the day were a lot worse than anything iDubbbz has ever said.
His timeline being jam-packed of borderline hypocritical dumb shit.
Anyone that has a YouTube channel and finds the need to tell their subscribers how to fucking think and how to act must have subscribers that are little children, alright?
Alright, to be fair, that kid seems really happy. That's actually a wholesome moment. but, fair enough.
You must have subscribers that are little fucking children. I don't think he's a hypocrite for doing it at all. I just think that he's dumb as a stump.
I treat my subs with respect. They can have any fucking opinion they want. I don't need to tell them what to do, tell them what to say, tell them how to act.
See, this is what I mean. Why would Ian apologize for this? Okay, I've already acknowledged that, yeah, it's good that he apologized to Tana. That content comp was probably, rushed, from what I can tell. I mean, he said that he only had a week when he wanted to work on it for a lot longer, right? He did it. It was more, spite driven than anything else, right? He wasn't doing it, in terms of like, oh, this is a well thought out, planned thing. This is just spontaneous, and let's just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks type of thing. And I guess it stuck kind of, but he ended up regretting it. So it only stuck for so long. So it's only like it's more like a shit stain that I guess stuck. But it ended up being a shit stain on his channel, in his eyes at least, right? Because he ended up regretting it. But again, he should have just apologized to Tana specifically, but he shouldn't have said, I apologize to everyone that I made a content cop on. Just been like, oh, I'm sorry, Tana, right? Mate, like that's all you have to do, mate. Come on.
I want their opinion.
So Toby Turner hasn't uploaded in weeks.
Oh yeah, Toby Turner, the guy that people falsely accuse him of rape or some shit. It's like, yeah, Keemstar probably should have been criticized for that. In fact, he definitely should have been. Otherwise, if Ian didn't make this video, who was gonna hold him accountable? Somebody had to. So obviously, Ian is doing everybody a favor by making the video himself. He's killing two birds with one stone. Okay, he's making me laugh or whatever, or at least the first. I mean, I already know what he's gonna say, so it's not nearly as funny if you've already watched the video, right? But he makes people laugh, and he's holding somebody accountable for their shitty actions. I think that's perfectly acceptable, right? I think Keemstar deserved all of this. Now, do I think it should affect him today? No, I think he's changed, and I think that everyone deserves more than one chance. However, that being said, regardless, it's like, at the time, he was being a piece of shit. He wasn't a very nice person, and someone needed to call him out, right?
And
now, if he were to, if people were already criticizing him, he was already getting a fuck ton of shit, and then he hopped on the bandwagon, then I could understand, okay, that wasn't cool, everyone else was criticizing them. What was the point of me what did I add to the discussion? Well, not much, right? That's kind of like what happened with the Tana video, right? He didn't really add much to the discussion, right?
Anyone know why?
Probably fucking some kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he needed to be held accountable for that, alright? You can't just say you're sorry when you did something right. I mean, you can, but you look fucking stupid. And, you are inadvertently saying that, yes, Keemstar's actions in the content cop were fine, and I was not, in a place where I had the right to criticize you. It's like, but those were valid criticisms, were they not? But by apologizing for all of the content cops and to all of the people you made content cops on, you are inadvertently saying that the criticisms you made weren't valid. Even if that's not what you're trying to say, that's what it comes across as, right?
I want their opinion.
Probably fucking some kid. There are a lot of reasons to call Keemstar a hypocrite. I'm going to focus on one reason, the reason that I find most compelling.
My objective isn't go destroy their life on Dromler. I don't use my platform that way. You know how...
And then he threatens to use the platform that way.
How they've been contacting me saying that you've been dating some 14-year-old French girl and shit? Just please swing at me. If you're gonna swing at me, dude. Let me know, because I got a fucking files on top of files to swing back at. I don't use my...
I quoted it wrong. I quoted it wrong.
My platform that way. I don't use my platform that way. I don't use my platform that way. Because I got a fucking files on top of files to swing back at.
Well, that was extremely blatant. You said you don't use...
I got it right the second time, kinda.
...your platform that way, but then you threaten to use your platform that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the point I'm making, and he's like this for basically the entirety of this content cop, But all of content cop is bad. There was totally no valid criticisms that were made, or there were, but it wasn't worth it. I was too mean. Keemstar was an asshole. He treated people like complete shit. You making these lighthearted jokes is nothing compared to what Keemstar used to say to and about people, and the type of shit he used to say, right? So, again, the fact of the matter, and this is just one example of a content cop that is warranted. Another example would be the Leafy one, right? But the fact of the matter is you don't need to apologize for every content cop when there's really just one specific one that was actually a problem. All of the other ones were fine, right? Maybe there was, like, 1 or 2 lines in there that you kind of regret. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have, like, you know, focused on Leafy's chin for so many minutes of the video. You know, even though it wasn't a serious point. Well, maybe I should have focused on criticizing his actions more, right? It's like, okay, but the point was you were using his standard against him. So even then, it's like, okay, you weren't actually doing anything wrong. It's like, okay. Either way, you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, yeah, your opinion is based, Femyoz. Why, thank you. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I highly doubt that. Oh God, my ears always fall off. Do you ever just have your ears fall off? Oh man, I hate when that happens. I hate when yeah. It's like everyone. It's so relatable for everyone, I'm sure. But anyways. I think I've made my point. I was originally going to make a content cop style video called Femboy Content Cop on iDubbbz. I've already, you know, edited a lot of it, but I don't even know if I want to release it at this point, because it's like, okay. It's like, well, he did apologize for shit, right? So he's not, one of the criticisms I was going to bring up is, okay, you can't ignore your past, but then kind of vaguely allude to disavowing it, but also, not do that, but then also disavow other people who do the same shit. It's like, okay, it felt disingenuous, right? But a lot of that criticism is like, okay, well now there's new criticism I could make, but it's like, okay, now I'm gonna have to do another recording session. I don't even know if I can be fucked, to be honest. It's like, does he even deserve to have a content cop? I mean, I don't even know. Like, I mean, the criticisms are valid, but, I don't know. It seems like, I don't know. It's like, okay, the point of the content cop in the first place, the point of content cop was to call people out who weren't being called out. Now, to be fair, though, most people who are calling Ian out don't have valid criticism, which is an issue that I have. So I might be the only one giving valid criticism, or one of the only people. But, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I have no idea. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I mean, if you agree with me and think that I am correct here, let me know by leaving a like. If you disagree with me, let me know by leaving a dislike. Doesn't matter really. At the end of the day, you know, I'm always right. Let's be real. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, fact of the matter is, all right. I think that changing is perfectly fine. What I don't think is fine is overcorrecting or pretending like Content Cop was inherently bad when it was really just the one Content Cop on Tana that had a bunch of flaws to it. All of the other ones, you were level-headed. They weren't really spite-driven. They were based on facts, logic, and reasoning. You know, you weren't being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole to someone who didn't really deserve it. I mean, and at the end of the day, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, that criticism was completely warranted. Somebody needed to say it, right? Like, otherwise, what? Oh, Keemstar goes on. Obviously, it didn't end Keemstar's career, but there was no good reason not to make that video, right? To highlight some of the dumb shit he was doing at the time, because it was a problem, right? And well, it probably emboldened some people who got fucked over by Keem to, well, speak out against him, right? Because it was easier to do so after the Content Cop. So it might not be consequential in that it ends Keemstar's career, but one, I'm all for second chances, and two, it emboldened people to speak out against the shit he was doing and saying, especially if it's behind the scenes, right? At the end of the day, well, I mean, it's Ian's decision, what he wants to do with his channel and his life and his content, but frankly, I don't think it is right to lump all of Content Cop in the same category as if they're all bad. It's like, yeah, there was one bad Content Cop, the Tana one. That one kind of sucked, okay? The points weren't very logical a lot of the time. They only look logical because it's compared. It's like juxtaposed next to dumb shit Tana says and Tana blatantly lying. So it's like, oh, well, Ian is the reasonable one. Well, neither of them are reasonable. It's just Tana is even more unhinged than Ian in that video. So that's why Ian looks good. Other than that, though, it's okay. That was a stupid video. But the Keemstar thing, the Leafy thing, the Rice Gum thing, all of that was fine. There's nothing wrong with those videos. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay. But you have, like, he seems to have the same problem that, that he had before, which is not understanding nuance, not understanding that there's gray area, not understanding that some of something could be okay, while some of, a similar thing isn't, right? Like, there's obvious, there are obvious distinctions that can be made and whatnot, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, the whole either all of it's okay or none of it's okay mindset still seems to be there. Even though that was one of the stupidest things he's ever said. It's like, oh, one Content Cop is bad, so they must all be bad. It's like, no, bitch, that's not how it works. All the other ones were good. The Tana one was the exception, not the rule, okay? I completely agree with you. Well, that is good news. That is good news. I hope iDubbbz watches this and listens to what I'm saying. I doubt he will. I don't think he has free time like that, but maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know if he cares about what people say about him. He probably doesn't. And again, my opinion is just one of many. All I can do is, well, give my opinion, right? I can't make iDubbbz do the right or the wrong thing. I still think that he was wrong in the Froggy Fresh situation. Not because I like Froggy. I don't like Froggy. And Sam Hyde is definitely not a good person. But that's not a new thing. It's like, well, Sam Hyde has always been a bad person, but as soon as it becomes a personal matter where he says mean things about your wife, then it's a problem. Then it's time to ban anyone who associates with him. It's like, well, it's like, okay, well, if you weren't cool with someone who doesn't think women are people, or some hanging out, or having a member of the event hang out with someone like that, then again, you shouldn't have let Harley from Epic Mealtime hang out. And I know you addressed that, but you did so very clumsily. It's like, well, clearly he's okay hanging out with people that clearly don't think women are people. I mean, that's not like a new thing. I mean, Sam Hyde being a Nazi has been known for ages. And that is also, that's that was one of the big criticisms I was going to give in the video. Maybe I still release it. I probably will, actually. It's like, at the end of the day, he was the original person to make Content Cop. And I don't have to hate you to make a Content Cop on you. At the end of the day, all I need to do is, well, maybe just work a little bit harder to add a little bit more nuance to it. Because, it is mostly just shitting on him, right? It's like, okay, well, that's the style of the video, right? But maybe I can, one-up him, maybe. And include nuance. Because he seems to be lacking in that regard. So rather than just, ignoring any and all nuance like he's done, maybe I can actually include that for once, he expects other people to understand nuance, right? But not himself. It's like, oh, well, the context matters. Well, that's a form of nuance, right? The context you say a word. But then, this other context and this other nuance, it doesn't matter, apparently. And, it's either all okay or not okay. It's like, no. You judge it on a case-by-case basis. The same way you would with whether or not you should say a particular word, okay? Well, what's the context, right? What's the context of the Content Cop? It is a big part of it, right? Why did you make the Content Cop? What was the impact of the Content Cop? Was the Content Cop warranted in the first place? More often than not, the answer is going to be yes, but I guess Ian wants to lump all of them together as if they're all the same. As if some aren't better than others, right? Well, I don't know. Goodbye, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed this live stream. I know it wasn't as upbeat as my other live streams. I don't know, I guess I'm tired. I can kind of tell my face gets a little red. when I'm tired. I don't remember if I showed off today's outfit, but ooh. But ooh. Anyways, I hope you all, oh god, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, smash like and subscribe, leave a comment and letting me know if you agree or disagree. And yeah, man, oh god, I'm gonna have to restructure the whole video. That's one really short skirt. Maybe it's a long skirt and I pull it up. You never know. I mean, do you see where the top of the skirt is? You know? For all you know, maybe it's up to here. I don't know. Maybe it's down to here. Maybe it's up to here. There's no way to know if the skirt is hidden beneath or not, you know? Maybe it's the longest skirt you've ever seen. It's just pulled up all the way. You never know. Maybe it's, yeah, I don't know. You never know. Anyways, alright, well, I had fun anyways. Man, I will say, though, that, well, no, it's not past my nipples. That'd be kind of funny if it was. If it was past my nipples, you'd be able to see my ass. Which I'm sure you'd want, but, we gotta, you know, we gotta respect YouTube TOS a little bit. I say after we watched a video that might, you know, not do that, but, wasn't my video, and YouTube seems to think it's fine, so, I don't know. Anyways, I'm glad he didn't, like, private or delete them, because that would be kind of shitty, right? It's like, okay. So at least he's reasonable enough to do that. But, I just hope he thinks about it a little bit more. I mean, like, no. Yeah, no, you totally wouldn't want to see that. I know. I know. Good morning, though. Thanks for the thighs, cough. I mean, content. You're welcome. Any day. Any day. I will say, though, that most of the shit, like, I mean, I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I should probably make the video on the basis of, okay, most of the criticism is shit. I'm the one person giving valid criticism, and, like, it's like, okay, you know, you shouldn't completely defend him, but also, it's like, okay, he's not entirely in the wrong. It's like, multiple parties can be in the wrong, and it seems like, you know, and I'm not saying this to be a centrist or to appeal to multiple crowds. I mean, maybe that is the result, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, he's a person, but he also kind of fucks up, and, well, you know, he's kind of in the wrong in a certain situation that we, you know, that I might be covering in a future video. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that video. I think I'll need to sit on it for a little bit longer. So, if I don't upload, I'm sorry. But man, I don't... Now, either way, if I do continue on with that video, I guess I'll just have to change a few things. Because, this changed my perspective a little bit. I mean, it added more nuance, and I'm not going to avoid nuance. That's what Ian used to do. It kind of backfired. I'm not going to do that. I think that would be stupid. Irresponsible, maybe, even. You know? I mean, he says it... I don't know, I think it's like a... I think it could also be a wake-up call for similar people to him. I miss his old content. It was actually good and fucked up. Yeah, true. Same. It's like, yeah, like, part of the humor was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. That's why it's funny, right? It's like, okay, that like, it was, like, the point. And frankly, I think it was good. It was good content. It was well put together. It was smart. It was entertaining. And he usually made good points. The only content comp with bad points, as far as I'm aware, was the Tana one. Keemstar one is a masterpiece. The Leafy one is an absolute masterpiece. Even though the no chin thing wasn't a criticism, right? But it's like, okay, but that's like a you know, he's making a point there, indirectly, which everyone with more than two brain cells would know. It was satire, but, like, out of pocket, exactly, yeah. It's like, but he did it in a way that could have been utilized for good, and he doesn't realize that. Like, he doesn't realize how powerful of a tool it could have been rhetorically. I know he's more left-wing than the average person, let's just say, right? He might not be, he's probably not as left-leaning as I am, right? But what he fails to realize is he could have used his style of rhetoric as a tool for good. Just because the outcome of his rhetoric back then might have been overwhelmingly bad, maybe. Again, I don't know for sure, but let's say it is. That doesn't mean you need to change your style of rhetoric. You need to. It means he needed to change what he was using it for, right? So him using it for the Tana content cop was probably an example of him misusing it, right? But him using it for the Leafy content cop was a good example. The Rice Gum content cop, good example. Keemstar content cop, good example, right? All of those are good examples. And he could have used that for even better examples that are political. He could have used it to, you know, shit on transphobic people. He could have used it to, well, you know, shit on racist people, believe it or not. Despite what you might think about slurs, right? It's like, oh, yeah, I say this word because it doesn't mean anything. But if you use it unironically for its intended purpose, you're cringe and I'm going to make fun of you. I mean, he almost took that approach too. And it's really unfortunate that he didn't. Because I feel like if he did, he would have ended up with, you know, creating a lot more people like me. If his fans didn't have to read between the lines, they would have ended up being like me, right? I just so happened to pay a little bit closer attention to the points he was making. But I was reading between the lines, right? Most people don't always do that, right? They're more focused on the comedy aspect, maybe. Even, you could say. I was focused on both, but I turned out to be, well, like this, obviously. You know, I don't know about you, I mean. But, I don't think I'm a right-winger by any means, nor would I consider myself bigoted, obviously. So I don't think his rhetoric was inherently bigoted, right? It's just he could have used it differently. And I think that if he had utilized that style of rhetoric, you know, but a little bit differently, more strategically, etc., he could have done a lot of good. And it's a shame because it's a missed opportunity. But at the end of the day, missed opportunity or not, he ended up creating me. I don't even know where the fuck my style of rhetoric would be if he didn't exist, right? I fucking used to copy him when I was like 13 or whatever, right? It's like, oh, I want to be like him. He's funny. He's good at wording things. It's like, yeah. So, I don't know. Either way, if he can't use that style of rhetoric to convince people to believe good things, then I will. I'll do it for him. I'll do what he failed to, you know? I'll pick up the torch, and I'll use it for good if I can, you know? Yeah, it's useful. You just have to be careful with it, right? It's like, okay, just don't light anything on fire, okay? Just be cognizant of that, right? Don't grab the torch by the part that's hot and on fire. You know, grab it by, like, towards the bottom, right? It's like, yeah, it's not about like, obviously, you know, you shouldn't grab it by the part that's on fire, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't grab the torch entirely, right? And I think that that's kind of analogous to what is happening with iDubbbz. He just doesn't want to touch the torch entirely because he has a bad experience touching the hot part with the fire. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't use the torch at all. You just be more careful about the way he uses it, right? The way he picks it up is important. The way I pick it up is important. You might notice that I'm more strategic with what I say and my rhetoric. Now, part of that is because I also watch Vosh, and I haven't watched him that much lately, but still, you know, Vosh, Hunter Avalon, etc., you know, all their rhetoric is good too, and, you know, it's like I use a combination of that, the rhetoric I've learned from iDubbbz, etc., because it's effective. And the point is to be rhetorically effective at the end of the day. And whether you like it or not, that's, well, just as important, if not more important, a lot of the time. You know, I'd say it's about 50-50. being right is only half the equation. Having the right rhetoric is the other half. And, well, I mean, you know, I try to have both halves. Awesome, yeah. Perhaps he was potentially a sociopath? I don't think so. I don't think iDubbbz was a sociopath. And because, like, one, you can tell that his emotions are genuine, I think. I can't know for certain, but it seems like he's genuine. And, you know, I'm not going to be uncharitable to him. And at the end of the day, you know, I mean, shit. I mean, if I'm the product of, if my style of rhetoric and my content is the product of his, then, I don't know, maybe he shouldn't feel so bad about it, right? If he's watching this, I hope he doesn't feel bad, right? Because, well, you created somebody who's going to become one of the greatest debate lords of all time, right? You know, I've won every trans debate. I've destroyed Christian presuppositionalism numerous times, of course. You know, only debate I've ever lost is the vegan debate, and it was because I didn't know what I was talking about, because I had never debated that or even really thought about my position that much. It's like, now I'm at a point where it's like, yeah, okay, I know that veganism is the morally correct position, but, like, also, I'm kind of addicted to food. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll change that slowly over time. Right now, I'm mainly focused on my YouTube career more than anything else. And, well, that's what I'm mainly thinking about right now. And, well, I don't know. Anyways, hello the gaming giant. You tuned in towards the end of the stream. Hell yeah. That's pretty epic, huh? Yeah. Isn't that just wonderful? Anyways, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where, you know, there's not a right and a wrong answer, right? It's like, he's not a bad person. Why is your cam so high? I don't know. Why is your cam so low? Is that better? Is that what you were looking for? Yeah, now it's lower. Happy? Now you can see my chest. I'll probably have it at this height when I grow titties, if they become large. I haven't taken estrogen yet, but at least you have a strong goal, yeah. Yeah, my goal is to be... I was here, just had it muted. Ah, well, thank you for the watch time. I appreciate it. I actually have over 1,000 hours of watch time. I just need the 1,000 subscribers part. We're getting kind of close. We need, like, what, 35 more subs or something? You know? It was like... I know it was like 40-something this morning, so it's probably lower than that. Yeah, I'd say 35. Yes, I want to the mic. What? I'm confused. You need HRT? Yeah. I haven't taken HRT yet, but I'm going to. HRT reveal? Yeah, no, I wish. But I'll take it eventually. Just not right now. I just, you know. It's like, here's something that can make me look objectively better. And be more in tune with my emotions. That sounds like everything I need in life. Not everything, obviously. It's not gonna fix all my issues. I gave up on being a girl. Oh, I'm just getting started. I'll have you find. I don't know. I never thought of iDubbbz as somebody who's, like, genuinely bigoted. But it's like nobody understands the points he makes, right? Or the ones he used to make, right? And it's like I've had these types of arguments with people, and it's just like they won't listen to the actual logic of it, right? On both sides. And I'm not saying that to be like a cringe, enlightened centrist or whatever. Ooh, if only they could resolve their differences, ooh, type of shit. Now I'm just androgynous presenting, yeah, me too. Or at least right now. Well, I mean, I wear clothes that are feminine, but still. It's like, okay, femboys are kind of androgynous in a way. But yeah, I don't know. Man, I'm tired. I'm sorry. I don't know. End stream soon. Either way, it's like, okay, here's somebody whose work has inspired me, but now they're disavowing their own work. Is this like a warning for me in the future? Am I gonna disavow my old work eventually? I hope not. I like my own work. I think my own work is good. I think I do more good than bad. I don't know. Either way, I'm probably more careful about what I say than he was, but that doesn't say anything. I'm barely careful. It's like, okay, I'm just not gonna say anything like incredibly. I'm not gonna go out of my way to say something stupid most of the time, right? Femboys are very androgynous. Yeah, fair enough. It's better than being masculine, in my opinion. At least for me. I don't want to be masculine or perceived as such. Androgynous is like close enough, but it's like femininity is like the goal, right? I just want to at least look feminine. You know? That's just how I feel, though. Either way. I do miss the old iDubbbz. But new iDubbbz isn't so bad either. I just wish he understood the nuance and the reasons why. Okay, not all content cop is the same. Oh well. Regardless of what he does, I'm gonna continue doing what I do, which was originally inspired by his work, even though it's a lot different now. It's like, okay. You know. We all know where it kind of started. To be fair, though, I used to be a Leafy clone when I was, like, really little. Like, whatever, like, 11. And then I became a based iDubbbz and Filthy Frank clone. Nothing has ever been the same since. Now I'm more of a Hunter Avalon clone, but it's like, once you clone somebody for long enough, it's like, hey, you never go back, right? You still sort of hold on to certain characteristics, right? I'd say my style of presentation a lot of the time, and a lot of the basic framework I use is similar to what he used to use, right? I don't know. But like an improved version. I guess I'm like a better version of iDubbbz, you know? I mean, the old iDubbbz wouldn't be valid in this new YouTube generation. You mean validated by other people? Because that doesn't dictate whether or not he actually is valid. I mean, he'd get permabanned? Oh, you mean that, yeah. No, I know that. I don't expect him to, like, be edgy for the rest of his life, regardless. Even if that wasn't the case. It's just, okay. If you're gonna disavow some of your old content, just don't disavow an entire category of content that you made when most of it is good. I don't know. That's how I feel, at least. And, well, frankly, the Leafy content comp actually probably changed me a lot for the better, right? I remember watching it as a kid. I remember seeing it for the first time. It was in my recommended, and I was like, oh, this is probably going to be some cringe loser complaining because Leafy bullies people. Like, pff, who gives a shit, right? But then he's like, actually, I like bullying. Today we're going to bully Leafy. And I'm like, well, he's funnier than Leafy. So this is the guy I'm going to support now, right? There was more that went on in my head at the time, but still. That was the sort of the gist of it. I mean by YouTube itself. No, that I know that. I know that, but I'm saying that even if that wasn't the case, I don't expect him to be super edgy. Either way, I don't know. I think he did a lot of good, and he doesn't realize it. He doesn't realize that, you know, his old rhetorical approach is not, contradictory to his, or at least not entirely contradictory to his new, moral framework, right? Some of it might be, but most of it isn't. Most of it is, actually, surprisingly, more aligned with a good moral framework than you would think, right? It's like, yeah. And I've always been somebody who believes in, applying people's own standards to them, And, well, at the end of the day, Ian, well, at the very least cared, past tense, about the law of non-contradiction. I'm sure he does to an extent still, but, he realizes that growth is more important than non-contradiction in some instances, right? But there's a balance, right? It's not even about contradiction. It's like, okay, if you're going to change for the better, right? And he probably has for the most part, but don't overcorrect. Don't overcorrect, you know? Because you might miss out on opportunities to, well, shape someone into someone like who I am today, right? You might not see it instantly. You know, it might be a slow process. I mean, I was, whatever, barely even a teenager, if even that, or I was almost a teenager, but not quite. I was like 12 or 13, right? So obviously he's not going to see that. But, oh well. I'm tired. I should probably go to bed soon. So, thank you all for watching. Ian, if you're watching this, yeah. I mean, in the past, at the very least, I idolized you. I don't know if I still do. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Who knows? It's Schrodinger's idol. But if you watched this somehow, maybe, let's be real, you haven't. But if you do, it's for whatever reason, care about what some stupid small YouTuber has to say because you were bored or whatever, it's like, okay. I mean, fair enough, I guess. I hope that some of the things I said were useful. But, yeah. Anyways. Oh, man.